Ibarra attorney Caitlin Beck said there was reasonable doubt here.
If the evidence shows that Mr. Ibarra was involved in the cover-up of the crime, but does not prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he was involved in the murder itself, Your Honor would be authorized to find him guilty on the tampering with the evidence charge, but not with the murder.
But Special Prosecutor Sheila Ross called that the magic pixie dust defense, noting not only did his roommate and brother ID Ibarra as the man throwing away a jacket found to have his and Riley's DNA on it, but the scratches on his upper body prove he attacked the nursing co-ed.
Lakin left those scratches, and the physical evidence says that she left those scratches because that is why his DNA is underneath her right fingernails. She marked him. She marked him for everyone to see.
Riley's loved ones were overcome with emotion in the courtroom, the crowding, crying getting louder and louder as Judge Haggard called out a total of 10 guilty verdicts. The judge resumes court at about 12:30 to sentence Ibarra. It's likely we may hear some victim impact statements before the judgment is rendered. The state is seeking life in prison without the possibility of parole for the 26-year-old Venezuelan migrant. Reporting live in Atlanta, Veronica Waters, 95.5 WSB.
All right, so be sure and check back for updates on that sentencing. Again, that's expected around 12:30. A big shift in the weather on the way. WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards says temperature is going to drop about 30 degrees in just 12 hours. She will have Atlanta Radio's only 5-day forecast. That's going to come your way at 12:05. Update on a traffic red alert we were covering all morning. 2 East Point police officers are at Grady after a truck slams into their patrol cars on I-285 at Camp Creek Parkway.
The incident occurred at the start of the morning rush hour. The officers were on scene for a previous incident.
3 separate East Point Police Department vehicles were parked in the first lane from the concrete median wall while responding to an incident with their emergency lights activated.
Courtney Lund with the Georgia State Patrol says the driver was cited for speeding and other charges. The wreck created a nightmare morning commute.
I-285 southbound was subsequently shut down for approximately 4 hours.
Lund says the injuries to the officers are not believed to be life-threatening. Graham Carroll, 95.5 WSB.
All right, this is new here at noon. A Gainesville man wanted on rape and child molestation charges has been arrested in Hall County. 31-year-old Andres Alonzo Perez, accused of committing the crimes against a girl under the age of 10 years old. It happened at a home in South Hall County in March. The Hall County Sheriff's Office issuing warrants for his arrest on April 8th. He was arrested earlier this week. There's been an arrest made in a deadly stabbing earlier this week on Murphy Avenue here in Atlanta. Police say a man was stabbed to death Monday afternoon. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Today, police telling us 34-year-old Damian Bradbury, charged with murder, aggravated assault, and weapons charges. He's locked up in the Fulton County Jail this afternoon. A self-defense hearing resumes today in Atlanta federal court for an ex-Atlanta cop charged with murder in the death of an unarmed black man 5 years ago.
Sung Kim was a 26-year veteran of APD and part of an FBI fugitive task force when he helped track Jimmy Atchison to a bedroom closet. He says he feared for his life when what he describes as a dangerous fugitive raised his hands in a threatening manner. Investigators later said Atchison, who was wanted for stealing a phone at gunpoint, was unarmed. It was also revealed task force members were not allowed to wear body cams. The shooting of the black man sparked protests and policy changes. Cheryl Castro, 95.5 WSB.
All right, this is also new here at noon. Georgia Senator John Ossoff is urging Congress to pass additional agriculture disaster funding to help Georgia farmers who are still recovering from Hurricane Helene.
Testifying before a U.S. Senate committee, Ossoff says both parties need to work together to pass disaster funding before the end of the year.
Virtually every crop and commodity produced in Georgia has been seriously damaged.
He says he believes any further delay could put Georgia farmers out of business.
This isn't about numbers, it's about families and rural communities.
State officials estimate Helene left behind about $6.5 billion worth of damage to the state's agriculture and forestry industries. Austin Eller, 95.5 WSB.
All right, it's time now to take a look at your money. The Dow right now is down 52 points at 43,216. NASDAQ is also down, and so is the S&P. Time now for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Veronica Harrell's in the WSB 24-hour traffic center.
And still issuing this travel advisory, Sabrina, over on the east side of town. It's an overturned truck, 285 northbound, the outer loop over at La Vista Road, exit 37. Only the left lane is getting by. Delays stretch back to Memorial Drive. I say avoid it by using the downtown connector, 7585. Elsewhere on 285, dealing with a tractor-trailer crash, 285 eastbound, the outer loop at Riverdale Road, exit 60. One left lane is blocked, but still tough delays out by the airport. Consider taking I-20. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB. WSB.
Time now for Atlanta Radio's only 5-day forecast, sponsored by Shoemate, the official heating of winter. Here's WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards.
Clouds thinning out for this afternoon. Enough sunshine to warm up to a high near 70 for today before a cold front arrives around 3 p.m. You'll notice its arrival as the winds pick up, gusting as high as 30 miles per hour. That wind pulling in chilly air for tonight. Temperatures falling to the upper 30s tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon, sunny, windy, and cold. High 54. Lows on Friday morning in the mid-30s. Friday afternoon, mostly sunny. Highs limited to the upper 40s, low 50s. Saturday and Sunday, morning lows in the upper 30s. Daytime highs in the mid to upper 50s.
More news at 12:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hello, America. Welcome. It's Eric Erickson here across the United States of America, and I am delighted to have you with me. The phone number, 877-973-7425. If you want to be on the program, if you will do me a favor, we are continuing to raise money. We're so close to $100,000 raised to help Hungry for a Day provide meals for families for Thanksgiving this year. If you will text the word donate to 33777, and you'll be able to, any money helps, but I'll tell you, if you can give a $40 donation, you don't have to. If you only do $5, it works. If you do $40, that number's key, because $40 will provide a Thanksgiving meal for a family of 4 through Hungry for a Day's efforts with food pantries they've partnered with across the country. It's a subsidized cost, but it'll be turkey, mac and cheese, sweet potatoes or mashed potatoes, rolls, green beans, dessert for a family of 4. So please text donate to 33777. You're making a great difference. Thank you for doing it too. Listen, we've been so focused. We've been so focused on cabinet picks and the election, but there's other stuff in the world going on, and I'm normally very good about it, but I realize what the pressing news is and the stuff you guys care about. But I need to start the program with what's happening at COP29, because it is extremely important. COP29 is happening in Azerbaijan. Ironically, it's an oil-rich country, a former Russian republic, Soviet republic, and COP29 is the UN Climate Change Conference. It's happening now. It wraps up in 2 days. And what is great about it is that it's live streamed around the planet, and we can see what's happening, and they're not having a normal time. I want to play you some of the audio. Listen to this is one of the participants in the event on stage talking about how they need to censor climate change disinformation.
The climate information ecosystem has been compromised by the relentless onslaught of disinformation campaigns orchestrated and amplified by powerful actors. The impacts of this is that it's obstructed climate action, it's deepened division, it's reduced trust, and it's obstructed progress on climate action. And that can be seen nowhere more clearly than in instances of extreme weather, like floods in Brazil and Spain, hurricanes in the US and in the Caribbean, where we've seen emergency efforts hampered by disinformation efforts. And big tech, legacy media, influential PR firms, and the advertising industry all have played a role within this and often have prioritized profit over truth. But I'm here representing a global coalition that came together before COP26 in 2021, recognizing that there was themes and threats developing, trying to disrupt the negotiations and climate action more broadly. This coalition has now grown to over 60 organizations that are from represented all around the world, organizations in Sri Lanka and Brazil, UK, US, and well, from right across. And since 2021, we've seen, as you said, the IPCC acknowledge the issue of disinformation and its impacts. The EU has recognized this, and now, of course, this initiative as well.
So you got that. We got censorship. They want to use the power of government to censor, and this guy has a network. It is a conscious advertising network. They want people to be conscious of what they're doing. They want to be environmentally conscious. Now, listen, here's the UN climate spokesman. Listen to this. This is from the United Nations.
The initiative from Brazil and UNESCO is very important to us. It's a very important work, especially ahead of COP30 in Belém next year in Brazil, and Brazil is the initiator, to join forces to tackle this major and multi-actor challenge of climate information integrity. We see climate mis- and disinformation increasingly taking over social media spaces. We are seeing more and more content undermining climate action through narratives that frame climate action as elitist and disconnected from public needs. Need to ensure we avoid giving the impression that we are focused on stuff that we just disagree with. Better to say we are focused on things that are actually factually wrong. So UN Climate Change is very pleased and happy that this initiative was launched, and we are part of the steering committee, so we provide advice here. From the process perspective, ensuring integrity of scientific data and facts on climate change is the backbone of this multilateral process and informs the political decision-making in the end. And that's why it is key that information is just and sound. Thank you.
The information, that they want to get out information, but not the wrong kind of information, not anything that challenges the norm. And also, you've got this UN climate spokesman saying it is wrong to say that climate action is elitist. And he's saying it from Azerbaijan, where most of them flew in by private aircraft. But it's not elitist. No. It's not elitist. So here's what it is. They want you to believe it's not elitist, even though many of them are on private jets. They want you to believe that the global community must come together and silence anyone who goes against their opinions. But wait, it gets better. This is a American Indian activist who has gone to COP20, a not elite group, to say this.
Jacob Johns. I'm the lead organizer for a Wisdom Keeper delegation. We're an international collective of indigenous wisdom keepers and activists who come together to co-create and advance contemporary climate policy.
Pause. An international collaborative group of wisdom keepers. Is there not something more elitist and pretentious than that? My gosh, you're actually calling yourself a wisdom keeper. So so is he kept in a bucket beside the toilet for people to pick up and talk to when they're taking a dump? Because, I mean, that's where most people keep their wisdom, in the bathroom, and you flip through your books of odd knowledge while you're taking a dump. This guy must actually reside, when he's not on stage, in a basket in someone's bathroom.
Instills indigenous wisdom with a global perspective. I think this is 100% in alignment with what we do. You know, I think that all of our teachings, all of our religions, and all of our faiths have prophesized about a time of turning that we are all faced with now. I mean, we look at the destruction of the planet, we look at the systems that are collapsing, we see the science that is telling us that the end is right here. But as an indigenous person coming from the United States, we have survived genocide, and we still thrive.
You got that? Now, that's the largest point here. Save the best for last. From the Wisdom Keeper, we've picked him up while we're on the pot and let him speak his wisdom. as we all do when we're in the bathroom, when we're not looking at internet memes, but there is also wisdom. And this young man wants us to know that we all have prophesied this changing climate. It's the end times, and that's the problem. In the 1970s, there was a bombing a week in California from environmental activists. Environmental activists are historically one of the most violent terrorist groups on planet Earth. Not making that up. They don't like to talk about it that way, but environmental activists, even now in the last few years, there have been rail lines that have been sabotaged that were hauling fuel and oil and gas. Environmental activists are violent people. The Earth Liberation Front activists occasionally activate and are murderous people. Y'all, this isn't going to end well, and here's why. You hear this last guy, this wisdom keeper, and they believe the world is coming to an end. Remember, Greta Thunberg years ago said we had less than a decade to get it right. We're approaching the end of the decade to get it right. And to them, we're not getting it right. We're not doing what they want. Just the other day, I played you the audio where they literally want us to give up our meat eating. Not only do they want us to give up our meat eating, they also want us to give up mass agricultural production. In other words, they want us to grow our food in our backyards to save the planet. That's what they want. It's a dangerous, dangerous thing. And what is their eschatology? And by the way, you have to have this discussion. This isn't theology. Eschatology is the theory of the end times, the study of the end times, and you have to understand it. With these people, you will either have heaven or hell on earth because there is no afterlife. And they want a heaven on earth, and they believe that those who are not down with their agenda want a hell on earth. Well, if you are setting yourself up to be the good guy against those who want hell on earth, you got to do everything to stop those people. That's why environmentalists are one of the most violent terrorist groups on planet Earth historically, because they really believe that they are the ones saving the planet. And anyone who's not down with their agenda is destroying the planet, and you must be destroyed so the planet is not destroyed. This UN climate change conference is going to radicalize people. Think about the kids who have had the meltdowns in Congress that, my mommy and daddy said the world is going to end if you don't pass climate change. Think about the kids. They don't die. They go up neurotic and on psychotropic drugs to be able to keep their anxiety at bay because they think the world is coming to an end. Their parents have imposed their psychological abuse on the kids. It's like that Beinert family and their daughter in the New York Times upset that the boys played Minecraft after Donald Trump got elected and took away all the girls' rights. These people are unhinged. And they're going to get violent. You and I, we're watching the cabinet picks. We're watching the fallout over Matt Gaetz, the Nancy Mace argument about the dude who's decided he's a woman who's going to Congress. And over in Azerbaijan, the environmentalists want governments around the world to actively censor social media, shut down dissident voices on climate, punish anyone who dares breathe heterodoxy to their climate orthodoxy, demand that taxes be placed on meat, shut down mass-scale agricultural farms that feed billions of people. They want mass starvation. They want to die off of the knuckle-draggers. This ends violently. It ends violently because they're not going to change. Donald Trump just got elected president of the United States again. He's going to pull us out of the climate accord from Paris again, and they think that they can align the world against him. They think China's actually going to help them. China's not going to help them. China is a bigger polluter than the United States. And when that reality comes, they're going to realize their utopia is a dystopia, and they're going to become violent. You can't have governmental voices and outside nonprofit groups get together in Azerbaijan and say, we need whole-scale government censorship of dissenting beliefs. We are not the elite, and the world is coming to an end unless we act and not think violence is coming from this. Tyranny is coming from this. It turns out that Donald Trump could be a catalyst to seeing these people lose their minds, and I can't wait to watch, but I'm a little bit fearful about how violent they're going to be. Greta Thunberg's scowl eventually turns to taking some sort of action, and we've seen her in action already. She's a massive anti-Semitic loon.
Want to be on the show?
Hello? I love your show.
Call Eric now at 877-973-7425. This is a traffic red alert from 95.5 WSB.
At 12:20 in the Cool Ray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. You heard it correctly, folks. It is a red alert now with this overturned truck crash. All lanes are blocked. 285 northbound, the outer loop at La Vista Road, exit 37. Again, an overturned truck crash has all lanes shut down. 285 northbound, the outer loop over at La Vista Road, exit 37. Delays stretch back to Memorial Drive, but do yourself a favor by avoiding it and using the downtown connector 7585. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
Join the Triple Team traffic crew on Friday, November 22nd from 9 a.m. to noon
at the Publix located at 11800 Kingsbridge Road in Alpharetta
for the annual Triple Team Traffic Food Drive benefiting Atlanta Community Food Bank.
The first 20 people to donate a frozen turkey will receive 2 tickets to Trans-Siberian Orchestra at Gas South Arena on December 15th while supplies last.
For more information, visit WSBRadio.com.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on this station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com. That's FirstLibertyGA.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
Welcome to Tire Discounters. Oh, hiya, Phantom.
Mike, what's all this I hear about seasons free things?
Yeah, we're giving away even more than usual this season.
Free alignment with any Ford tire purchase isn't seasonal, Mike. It's free every day at Tire Discounters.
Sure, but right now, guess what else happens every day?
I know that customers can save up to $250 on Michelin tires.
Absolutely. Now guess what else?
Mike, I'm a Phantom tire buyer with a secret identity. Please don't toy with me.
Okay, here's the deal.
Yes?
We're doing these drawings.
Like a game show.
And one lucky customer per day wins all their money back for 4 tires.
Spectacular! But why call it seasons free things?
You know, season's greetings. It's like a play on words.
Yes, of course it is. I knew that.
It's season's free things at Tire Discounters. One lucky customer per day wins their money back on tires. Everyone saves big on major brands like Continental. And a free alignment and oil change comes with every 4 tire purchase.
So the FBI, they call it house stealing, and I've been telling you about this for over a year. Now, title fraud is on the rise. In fact, a DA in California recently said that known fraud attempts in his county have gone from 0 to 73 in just the past 18 months. With just one document, a fake quit claim deed, and a $40 phony notary stamp, a criminal can steal your home's title. Once they have it, they can transfer ownership, take out loans in your name, and leave you with nothing but a financial disaster. But there is a way to stop them. And I trust HomeTitleLock.com to protect my home, my properties, and I've arranged an exclusive offer just for you. Right now, you can get 50% off their triple lock home title protection. That includes 24/7 monitoring, urgent alerts, and the best part, if a criminal ever targets your title, HomeTitleLock.com will work fast to restore it. Go to HomeTitleLock.com, use the promo code Hannity. You get 50% off today. Protect your most valuable asset.
For many of you, it's happening. Your hair's thinning, your crown's disappearing, and maybe hair loss has you feeling your identity is lost altogether. Well, I got good news. It's Advanced Hair's incredible yet simple one-day treatment that starts regrowing your own natural hair the very next day, and it's guaranteed to grow for life. It's Mark Aaron back with you. We've all seen the pills and lotions that come with monthly subscriptions. They help retain what you have, but what about regrowing your hair permanently in specific areas? From Advanced Hair's state-of-the-art facilities to their world-class physicians, it's not maybe your hair will regrow. It's guaranteed that your new hair will grow. You decide how much, how thick, and where. Advanced Hair has changed tens of thousands of lives, and I've seen their results, friends. For your free consultation, $250 off and 250 free hair grafts, call 470-660-HAIR. That's 470-660-HAIR or advancedhair.com.
Your non-stop news source, 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Get the podcast, live stream, email, and social media links by texting Eric to 33777 now.
Welcome back. It's Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Short segment here. Bear with me. Those of you on the phones, I got to tell you, Target is leading the retailers of America, warning not to expect a strong holiday shopping season. This is from CNN. The company forecasts Wednesday morning that sales during the final quarter of the year will be flat, and Target lowered its profit forecast. Target also reported a sluggish sales increase of just 0.3% during the latest quarter. Shares of Target plunged 15% during early trading. Target's a bellwether for consumer spending habits and the retail sector as a whole. The holiday shopping season is pivotal for retailers. While Target can survive a weak holiday stretch, many smaller companies depend on strong sales during the holidays to carry them through the following months. Target's struggling because its core middle-class customer base has been strained by higher prices or pulled back on discretionary goods like home decor, electronics, and non-essential clothing in favor of groceries and everyday essentials. Yes, but we were told reliably by CNN that the economy's actually really good. We were told reliably by the New York Times the economy is really good. This again, this from CNN. This is their reporting. Quote, Target is struggling because its core middle-class customer base has been strained by higher prices and pulled back on discretionary goods like home decor, electronics, and non-essential clothing in favor of groceries and everyday essentials. I'm sorry, but we were told the exact opposite of this by members of the media, and we should not allow them to memory hole the fact that this is what they said. Stephanie Ruhle on MSNBC, you will remember, just after the election, said that it's hard to stand up to the disinformation and misinformation when people think things are bad, but everything's actually good. That's what the data says. The data is now saying that consumers in this country realize things are not good. But the media chose to lecture us instead. The media chose to lecture us and tell us how good it was. But it's not. This is the CEO of Target, Brian Cornell. Quote, consumers tell us their budgets remain stretched and they're shopping carefully as they work to overcome the cumulative impact of multiple years of price inflation. Something that Donald Trump's been saying all year on the campaign trail. Members of the press said he was lying about. Y'all, I want to invite you to go to ericforhillsdale.com and check out a video from Hillsdale College about what they do, what they represent, what they stand for. It's a little abstract for me to tell you about it, but if you go to ericforhillsdale.com, you can see their video. They've been around since the 1800s. They were one of the very first academic institutions in the country to desegregate after the Civil War. Why? Because they believed that every human being created in God's image is unique and special, deserves a superior education, and also needs to understand the genius of our founders, even through their flaws, how special this country is. It's not indoctrination. It's historic education based on fact. They give it to their students, and they open so much of it up to you through things like Imprimis, your free guide into the thinking of the conservative movement. All you have to do is go to ericforhillsdale.com today. See the video, sign up for Imprimis. It is completely free. I have never paid a penny for it. Eric, E-R-I-C-K, ericforhillsdale.com. Begin a relationship with Hillsdale College today.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 12:30. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. The news here at 12:30 is sponsored by Jim Ellis Automotive. We are awaiting the sentencing of Jose Ibarra after Clark County Superior Court Judge Patrick Haggard found him guilty of murdering nursing student Laken Riley earlier this year. WSB's Veronica Waters has been following the trial and joins us live. Ibarra will not get the death penalty as it's off the table, right, Veronica?
Yes, Sabrina. The state said very early on that it would be seeking a maximum sentence of life without the possibility of parole if there was a conviction in this case. Jose Ibarra is not only convicted of malice and felony murder, but of kidnapping, aggravated assault with intent to rape, interfering with a 911 call, and peeping Tom. Clark County Superior Court Judge Patrick Haggard deliberated only 15 minutes before declaring Ibarra guilty on all 10 counts in Laken Riley's violent attack.
The evidence was overwhelming and powerful.
In her closing argument, defense attorney Caitlin Beck attacked the scientific and video evidence, saying there were indications that Ibarra's brother Diego committed this murder.
Another theory of the case that is not excluded by the state's evidence is that Jose was an accomplice after the fact of the murder. Maybe it was him throwing away the jacket, as Diego said. Maybe he was covering up for his brother.
Special prosecutor Sheila Ross said that was desperate, pointing out it was Jose's thumbprint on Riley's phone and his DNA under her fingernails.
He would need the magic pixie dust to put his brother's DNA underneath Laken Riley's fingernails. And he would also, in addition to that, because of the video evidence, he would need one other thing, and that would be Harry Potter's invisible cloak.
Now, the judge not only deliberated and delivered this verdict, he will also pronounce the sentence. He is expecting to reconvene court somewhere around 12:30 or a little bit after, as we can see now, because it looks like the judge is still not on the bench in that Athens courtroom. We may hear victim impact statements from some of Riley's loved ones before the judge pronounces sentence and hands it down to Jose Ibarra. Reporting live, I'm Veronica Waters, 95.5 WSB.
Yeah, thank you, Veronica. And of course, we will bring that to you live, so don't go far. We will have traffic and weather coming up in less than 2 minutes. Stay close.
Even on our worst days, we can always find something to be thankful for. And we always have someone to be thankful to. Will you take my 5-minute thankfulness challenge? Spend 5 minutes every day for 30 straight days and thank God for everything you can think of to be grateful for, and see how much your life changes as a result. And then reach out to me at thisstuffmatters.net and let me know how it goes. This is Tom Gray, and This Stuff Matters.
thisstuffmatters.net.
Skip the hassle and sell your home with the strongest cash offer this fall. The Guaranteed Offer from Mark Spain Real Estate is the easiest way to sell your home. It's Eric Erickson, and with the Guaranteed Offer, you can skip the uncertainty, sell your home fast for all cash in as little as 21 days. Mark Spain Real Estate's been serving families for nearly 30 years and has helped over 58,000 satisfied clients. Trust the top real estate team in the U.S. to sell your home fast and for maximum profit. Go to markspain.com and find out what your Guaranteed Offer would be and start packing.
Scott Slade here to talk to you about your health, and I think it's real important to talk about what is most likely to kill you. Heart disease is the #1 killer of Americans, and the older we get, the more prevalent it is. But you can reduce your risk. Eat right, don't smoke, exercise, and be informed about what's going on in your own body. Like lots of potentially serious health problems, if you catch heart disease early, you vastly increase your chances of living a longer life. And that's where virtual imaging comes in. Virtual imaging scans take less than 10 minutes and screen with 98% accuracy for heart disease. Other scans, including brain and full body, are available too. Virtual Imaging is locally owned and operated in Atlanta for over 15 years, so they can make you this terrific offer. A complimentary heart scan for you and your spouse with a few minimum requirements. So don't put this off. I've done it. Call Virtual Imaging today for your free heart scan. 770-678-SCAN. That's 770-678-7226. Or visit their website at virtualimagingatl.com.
All right, we do have breaking news. As we told you, the judge is back in the courthouse there now in Athens, Clark County. Veronica Waters covering this trial. And we're going to go back to that courtroom. Laken Riley's mom, I believe, is on the stand or about to come on the stand. Is that right, Veronica?
Yes,
and Laken's stepfather, John Phillips. And then there's
Laken Riley's mother. She is about to be the first to speak. We are hearing from Special Prosecutor Sheila Ross.
Your Honor, on February 22nd of 2024, our family and friends were given a life sentence without a chance of parole. Jose Ibarra took no pity on my scared, panicked, and struggling child. There is no end to the pain, suffering, and loss that we have experienced or will continue to endure. On that horrific day, my precious daughter was attacked, beaten, and shown no mercy. She fought for her life and dignity and to save herself from being brutally raped. This sick, twisted, and evil coward showed no regard for Laken or human life. We are asking that same be done to him. Laken had a beautiful and bright future. She was smart, hardworking, kind, thoughtful, and most importantly, she was a child of God. She had a personal relationship with Jesus, and she loved being the hands and feet of his hands and feet in this world. She shared her love for our Lord with others through her mission trips, working with elderly at the nursing homes, and through her nursing career. Laken was an amazing friend, sister, niece, daughter, and granddaughter. Anyone who knew her knew about her loving heart. Laken's life was not the only life taken on that day that Jose Ibarra attacked her. The life of her family and friends was taken too. None of us will ever be the same. This monster took away our chances to see Laken graduate from nursing school. He took away our ability to meet our future son-in-law. He destroyed our chances of meeting our grandchildren. And he took my best friend. He ripped away every beautiful memory we will ever be able to make with her again. This horrific individual robbed us all of our hopes and dreams for Laken. Your Honor, I'm asking you to please give Jose Ibarra the same thing he gave us when he made the choice to take Laken's life and destroy ours. He showed no mercy on Laken when she was begging for her life. There's no end to the pain and suffering that he inflicted on our family and our friends. I'm asking you to please give this monster life without any chance of parole so that he never gets the chance to hurt anyone else ever again.
I'd like to thank Your Honor for the opportunity to speak today. I truly appreciate it. I heard in the opening statements from the defense that the loss of a life that was apparently full of promise is tragic. Well, I'm here today to let Your Honor and the entire world know that Laken's life was not apparently full of promise, but instead was abundantly and exceptionally full of promise, and was a shining beacon in the life of everyone that knew her, that ever came in contact with her. I'm so proud of Laken and the beautiful person she was. And while I could stand here and try to tell the world the things that made her such a wonderful person, as well as the many things we have all been robbed and deprived of, I think one of her last journal entries dated 12/17/23 says it best. So here we go. To my future husband. As silly as I feel writing this, my old small group leader once recommended it, so here I am. To my future husband, I want you to know that I'm thinking about you. I'm working every day to become the best wife I can be, by working through my current relationships to best prepare me for ours and our kids one day. I'm focusing on God and what He defines as a faithful Christian life, and so that I can best embody those characteristics. I pray that you know that it is with my full faith and trust in God that I know this relationship has been handcrafted by Him. I pray that we continue to glorify the Lord, prioritize Him in every aspect of our lives, and raise our family, our future family, to be God-fearing Christians as well. I pray God is the center of our relationship as it is a gift from Him. I thank Him for you before I even know you. I can't wait to love you in the best way I know how for the rest of our lives. I pray you know and feel the importance of my love and hopes for our relationship. No matter what challenges we face, I pray that our trust in God and love for one another overrules the obstacle. May our relationship last forever. Your future wife, Lakin. That, Your Honor, was our beautiful Lakin. That, Your Honor, is just a glimpse of what was tragically and brutally taken from her and us that day. The best daughter, sister, granddaughter, friend, and overall person that you could ever hope to meet. While it's true that none of our lives will ever be the same, we refuse to let this person rob Lakin of the hope she gave to her family, loved ones, friends, and the world as a whole. We will proudly carry this hope on in her name in the days ahead and for the rest of our lives, because together we can all keep hope alive. So today, I plead with this court to protect the world from this truly evil person by sentencing him to prison for life without the possibility of parole for any reason, so that he can never have the opportunity to do this to anyone else ever again. Thank you, Your Honor.
Next, Your Honor, is Lauren Phillips.
Your Honor, I wish I could truly put into words how much the tragedy that occurred on February 22nd, 2024 has affected me, but I don't think I'll ever be able to do so. With that being said, I'm going to attempt with the best of my ability to do that for you today. My name is Lauren Phillips, and I have the amazing privilege of living with Lakin Riley as my older sister. Lakin was and will forever be my most favorite person. She was my biggest role model, and I looked up to her in every way. She brought the joy that I needed into my life and never failed to make me laugh. There was absolutely nothing that I wouldn't do for Lakin, and nothing that she wouldn't do for me. Lakin was my biggest protector, and I always had this sense of comfort and safety in her presence. We have been inseparable ever since the moment I was born, and I've been lost ever since she was senselessly stripped from our lives by Jose Antonio Ibarra. I now have this hole in my heart and in my life that I know will never be filled. I had to walk the stage of my high school graduation without my biggest supporter and cheerleader in the crowd. I had to finish my senior year of high school, which most would say is the happiest and most surreal part of your life, but it was simply the opposite for me. I had to turn 18 and become an adult without the one person I looked up to there by my side. I had to get accepted into my dream school, the University of Georgia, without my sister telling me how proud of me she is, and finally getting to live in the same town together again. I now have the burden of dealing with the fact that my best friend and sister will never come home again. She'll never send me another daily good morning text, funny TikTok, or silly Snapchat. The true sense of joy I felt when she would randomly surprise me will never happen again. I will never get to hear her infectious laugh or see her light of a smile ever again. I now get to explain to people when they ask me if I have a sibling that I no longer have one, and not just because she passed away, but because she got brutally attacked and murdered. I cannot walk around my own college campus because I am terrified of people like Jose Ibarra. My parents will never be the same after losing their daughter in this tragic way. Seeing their heartbreak is excruciating. We were once a happy family of 4, and now there is an evident hole where her presence is forever felt. We are a broken family of 3, struggling to find out how to live this life through the silence and emptiness that her absence has left behind. The joy that she brought to our home has been completely replaced with grief, and we are just left holding the pieces of a life that will never feel whole again. She will not get to be at my wedding and next to me as my maid of honor. I get to deal with explaining to my future children what happened to their Aunt Lakin and why they won't ever be able to get to feel her love or be spoiled by her. All of these experiences were and will be stripped of me against my will, and I now live in a constant state of fear, anger, and sadness. I think about how my sister saw exactly what was coming and had no way of preventing it. I think about how scared she must have been and how that man is the only one to truly witness that scene. I'm not sure why he did this to my Lakin, and I know I will never understand. I've waited for him to have a reason, but as the details of this case have unfolded, I realize I'll never get any peace or closure. What Jose Ibarra did to my sister is almost unbearable to listen to. I am completely disgusted having to even look and be in the same room as him. That predator is inhumane and is the epitome of evil. I have no doubt in my mind that the monster sitting in this room with us today is the same monster that encountered my precious sister on February 22nd, 2024, where he proceeded to attack, assault, beat, murder, and attempt to rape her. Jose Antonio Ibarra has completely and utterly ruined my life, and I can only hope and pray that he receives a sentence that ruins his. Thank you.
You're listening to live coverage of the Laken Riley, Jose Ibarra, the murder trial. This is Laken Riley's father coming up to speak now.
Your Honor, I stand here today as a grieving father whose heart was shattered in ways I never thought possible. My daughter, Laken Riley, was not just our child. She was the light of my life, the person who brought joy to every room she entered. And now that light has been extinguished forever, taken from us in the most senseless and violent way imaginable. The pain I feel is unexplainable. Every day I am reminded that my daughter is gone. I will never hear her laugh again, never see her smile, never hold her hand or feel her hug. She was taken from us, from her family, from her friends, from her future. Our world has been torn apart, and no matter what happens here today, nothing will ever bring her back. I am haunted by the thought of the fear she must have felt in those final moments, and it breaks my heart knowing that she suffered. I have to live with the fact that I could not protect her when she needed me the most. The pain of not being there, of not being able to stop what happened to her, is something I will never escape. My daughter had so many dreams, so many hopes for the future. She had worked so hard to become a nurse, to work with children and spread the love of God. She was a loving, kind, and intelligent young woman. She had so much to offer the world, and her life was taken from her far too soon. I will never get to see her achieve those dreams. The void that has been left is unmeasurable. The impact of her loss on our family is immeasurable. As a father, I am forever burdened with the pain of losing my child. I will spend the rest of my life trying to navigate this grief, trying to make sense of the world that took my daughter from our family. But I will never forget her. I will keep her memory alive, and I hope justice is served for her, not only because I'm her father, but because she deserves it. I ask that you consider this life that was taken, the pain that has been caused, and the lasting effects of this tragedy on everyone who loved our amazing daughter, Laken Hope Riley. Thank you.
Lily Steiner, Sophia Magana, Connolly Hood.
Good afternoon. As I stated in my testimony, my name is Connolly Huth. Laken Riley was my roommate for 2 years, my devoted and loyal running partner for 2 years, and my best friend forever. I stand before you looking at you through eyes that have seen, ears that have heard, and a heart that has felt emotions nobody, and especially no 22-year-old, should have to. On February 21st, my life was complete. I woke up on February 21st at 7:30 a.m., walked out of my bedroom door to streamers hung outside of my bedroom from the top of the doorframe to the floor, balloons blown, decorations taped, and gifts presented precisely on my kitchen island. Laken did it. It was my 22nd birthday. She had a 5 a.m. nursing clinical, yet she woke up at 4:30 a.m. to make me feel loved and appreciated, because that is who Laken Riley was. I went to dinner that night with my roommates and my family, and ended the night with my roommates, and especially Laken, showering me with love. It is clear and evident that this defendant, Jose Ibarra, has never felt this type of love and appreciation. I've been impacted by this brutal cowardice and preventable tragedy in every way, shape, and form. I no longer have a best friend that I relay every thought or worry to. I no longer run every day. I lost my partner, and I lost the joy of what running was before Laken was taken from us. I cannot imagine running when I constantly am looking over my shoulder in public, wondering if I am next. I live with excruciating guilt every day that I was not accompanying Laken on this run, and that it was her and not me. And I hope and pray that it will never happen again to anyone. Along with this, the crime that this monster committed ruined one of the most special places in our friendship. Lake Herrick was Laken and I's safe space. We loved to go on running adventures throughout the park together. We had a code called dock time. Dock time consisted of either ending our runs or taking a calming walk to the dock at Lake Herrick. Here we would sit in silence, play music, or talk while sitting on the dock, simply enjoying each other's presence. All it took was a text saying, "I need dock time," and we were on the way to debrief whatever we needed to discuss. Now, when I think of this beautiful spot, I think of the terror and horror my sweet best friend had to endure at the hands of this monster. I think of all the things I have to do now to remember Laken. At times, I forget how she laughs or how she sounds, and I have to resort to looking through my camera roll of hundreds of videos I have. Videos where I talk to my future kids and introduce them to their Aunt Laken in college. To talk to my friend, I have to drive 20 minutes to her grave and sit and talk to her with no response, screaming at the sky. When I want to remember her, I have to go to my closet and pull out her clothes I was given and smell them to remember how she smelled. As I stand up here today, I am wearing one of Laken's shirts. This shirt has sat in my closet for months, not because I'm saving it for an occasion, but because I cannot afford to not remember these things like this about her. I sit in therapy week after week trying to heal February 22nd and life after. When I hear emergency vehicle sirens, I am triggered. I sat that day and watched dozens of emergency personnel drive by as I sat helpless. My roommates and I had to draw our own conclusions that the pinnacle of our house was no longer here when we watched a coroner drive by us after sitting at the fields for 2 hours with no answers. Our fears were confirmed when we received a university-wide email that alerted students, faculty, and staff that a female was deceased. I lost faith in humanity the day that my kind, selfless, beautiful, smart, loving, and perfect best friend left this earth. I will never understand why it had to happen in the first place, but more importantly, why out of all people it had to be her. The world lost a girl who would take the clothes off her back for her family, friends, and even strangers, who studied and devoted her life to Christ and nursing so she could save lives and make a difference in this world. Laken cannot be replaced. If you had the ability to bring her back out of all this, I would give up every earthly possession I have to see her infectious smile, hear her contagious laugh, and her infamous "love you, girl," and I would hug her neck, but you cannot. Laken made this world, and more specifically my world, better. My first years of college, when I did not know Laken, I went home all the time. My last years of college, you had to drag me home. That was because Laken was my person. So, Your Honor, I wish to proclaim the maximum sentence for the defendant, as I will never be the same, her loving, beautiful family will never be the same, and this world will never be the same. I hope this sentencing sets a precedent so it stops with Laken and fails to happen to anyone again. Laken was a hero and a warrior. She died a hero and a warrior, and she is a hero and warrior to all of us. Laken was my source of light, joy, and unwavering happiness. So when her life was taken, so was the part of me that knew how to truly feel those things again. Thank you, Your Honor.
You are listening to victim impact statements at the sentencing of Jose Ibarra, found guilty of murdering nursing student Laken Riley. Here's another roommate speaking now. You're listening to it live here on WSB Atlanta, WSBB FM, and HD1 Doraville, 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
2nd, 2024. Laken Riley was taken by Jose Ibarra from her family, her roommates, her friends, her sorority sisters, her classmates, her future children, her future husband, and her future patients. This trial focused on the death of Laken, which has overshadowed the life that she lived, the life that was stolen from this community. Laken was the most driven student with the biggest heart of anyone I think I ever will meet. As roommates, we got to spend a whole lot of time together. We had our family dinners that were strictly chili. We watched Dancing with the Stars every Tuesday. We had almost daily Starbucks runs, which I hoped to do that morning when I checked her location around the time she took her final breaths. We'd often get to a point at least once a week where we'd get emotional, thinking about what life is going to be like once we graduated. Laken held a place in all of our imaginary futures. Now Sophia, Connolly, and I graduated in May, required to move on with our lives, while Laken can't. We have the privilege to get jobs and move to an exciting new city to experience post-grad life, but Laken doesn't. I'm currently working as a medical assistant, waking up every day dreading that I won't get a text from her to make my day better. I'm striving to work in the medical field, but I know I could never be half the healthcare worker that Laken would have been and that the world was deprived of. While living together, we often would play outside of our house in the middle of the street, specifically Foursquare, listening to a playlist I made called Playtime with My Family. Our home was such a special place to us, one that was tainted. Athens has never been the same, nor will it ever be. Shortly after Laken's death, I had to come back to UGA to finish my classes without Laken and without the safe space that we built together, and it was awful. Every time I wanted to go somewhere, I had to drive by the apartments that provided a roof over his head while he got to rip away ours. Life without Laken has been so dull, and having to learn how to navigate time without her through grief, anger, and fear has been beyond difficult. So many people are lost without her. Laken made her short time on Earth so significant that she managed to impact those who she never even met. Laken left a colossal legacy to everyone she touched, and I have zero doubt that she is still not finished building it. And that is something Jose Ibarra will never be able to take away. I hope to never say his name again, but to shout Laken's every chance I get. I kindly ask Your Honor that you help us all in our long healing journey by allotting the maximum sentence for Jose that unfortunately still won't make up for the beautiful life taken.
Your Honor, my name is Sophia Magana. I'm Laken Riley's roommate of 3 years. I stand before you today with a heart full of grief, sadness, and an overwhelming sense of loss of my best friend. Laken wasn't just my best friend. She was my roommate, my sorority sister, and above all, she was my chosen family. The joy and kindness Laken brought into my life every single day can never fully be put into words. We confided in each other, supported each other through life's challenges, and celebrated our joys together. The loss of my best friend has shattered my world in ways I never thought possible. I never imagined that I'd have to navigate life without her by my side. Every day, her friends, family, and loved ones carry the weight of her absence, a weight that is heavy and unrelenting. Laken was my fearless other half. As someone who's reserved and awkward, Laken was always there to nudge me to step out of my comfort zone. She would pull me onto the dance floor and encourage me to try new things and remind me to live life to the fullest. I trusted her completely, and I always knew she was there for me, as I was for her. Those small, precious pieces of life that we once took for granted are now reminders of what I've lost. Laken taught so many people in her life invaluable lessons. She showed me how to find joy in every moment, how to embrace life with an open heart, and how to dance in a crowded room without caring what anyone else thought. These lessons will stay with me forever. Laken was not just my best friend. She was a devoted daughter, a loving sister, and a cherished friend to so many. She was an exceptional student with a bright future ahead of her, destined to become a nurse who would touch countless lives with her compassion and care. I miss hearing her laugh, seeing her smile, and hearing her voice, all of which brought warmth and light to all those around her. Now we are forced to confront an unthinkable reality. We will never again hear the joy of her laughter, feel the warmth of her smile, or find peace in the sound of her voice. The loss of Laken has left a hole in our hearts that can never be filled. The monster who took Laken's life has clearly never known love, like the love Laken showed everyone in her life. Love that was boundless. Love that was a testament to the amazing person she was. Jose Ibarra brutally attacked Laken. And now spaces that were once filled with joy and peace are places I fear for my safety. I now live my life in a fear, constantly looking over my shoulder with the new reality that the unexpected can happen. A world Laken taught me to embrace is now a world I feel unsafe in. Every day I put on a brave face as I step into my classroom, ready to teach and support my students. I mask my emotions and fears to shield them from the harsh realities of the world, preserving their sense of security and innocence in the world. Yet inside, I'm struggling, holding back tears until I can slip away to the bathroom or wait for the school day to end so I can finally let my true emotions surface beyond those four walls. February 22nd, 2024 is a day I will never forget. It is a day Jose Ibarra chose to commit an unthinkable act to murder Laken. He took from this world somebody who embodied love and light. Jose took my light, my sense of joy, my best friend, and my other half. Losing Laken has left an enormous hole in my life. The world feels quieter, emptier, and far less joyful without her in it. Her absence is felt in every corner of my day-to-day life, and I don't know how to fill the space that she once occupied. But what I do know is this. Laken's legacy of love, kindness, and friendship will live in all of us who knew her. The love she gave so freely will continue to guide me as I navigate this life without her. Jose Antonio Ibarra took Laken's life, and I hope that your verdict ensures that Jose experiences lifelong pain that is only a small glimpse of the pain we will live with daily since the loss of Laken. No punishment will ever truly account for what Jose has done, but it is my hope that justice will honor Laken's memory and the profound impact she had on all of our lives. Thank you.
Abby, have a
All right, you're listening to victim impact statements at the sentencing of Jose Ibarra, found guilty by the judge today of killing Laken Riley earlier this year. These are her roommates that are speaking and friends.
Carrie Howell will be reading the statement for Abby. And this is Abby's statement that she prepared, but will be read right here.
It was 1:49 p.m. on February 22nd of 2024 that I learned Laken was missing. I immediately text her, "Laken, where are you? Why are people saying you're missing?" Just minutes after 2:17 p.m., a campus email came out confirming my worst nightmare. Laken had been found unconscious and not breathing. Laken, the girl I met in middle school and became best friends with our freshman year of high school. The girl I couldn't imagine being far away from when it came time for college, so we both decided to attend the University of Georgia together. The girl who stuck by me and got me through some of my toughest times in life, as well as accompanied me during some of my best. The loss of her is something I will never be able to come to terms with. I will never be able to come to terms with the fact that I was sitting in class just down the road, going about my day, the morning this horrific event was taking place. I will never not think about the last time I saw her, the pink sweatshirt she was wearing, and the last words she ever said to me. I will never not think about all the things I would have said had I known it would be my last time seeing her and talking to her. Myself, everyone up here, and the world has lost such a special person. Laken was intelligent, patient, loyal, driven, and kind. Her pureness and love for the Lord were evident and shined through her in a way unlike anyone I have ever met before. She is in a better place, but it is not fair that the rest of us still here on earth have to suffer because of this individual's actions. Because of this individual, some of my happiest days, such as the day I get married and have kids, will be forever accompanied by a feeling of grief, a sadness that Laken will not be there with me to experience them. Because of this individual, I have so many fun memories, but no one here to share them with. Because of this individual, I will be searching for the rest of my life for a friendship like the one I shared with Laken, but I know I will never find one because ours was simply unreplicable. I am here today to support Laken. I hope to provide only a fraction of the support she continuously gave me during her time here on earth. I miss her desperately and long for the day I get to see her again. Since February 22nd of 2024, I will forever be changed.
Sophia Plum. Palomino. Palomino.
Good afternoon. February 22nd, 2022 changed my life forever. Not being in Athens that day will forever haunt me. Finding out through an email will forever haunt me. And seeing this posted all over social media will forever haunt me. Laken Riley was my best friend, the person I told everything to, and the person I trusted with anything. The pain of the last 9 months has been indescribable. If you would have asked me a year ago where I thought I'd be and what I would do in 2024, I'd tell you I'd be finishing up my second to last semester of college with Laken as my roommate as she finishes nursing school. I'd tell you we spent St. Patrick's Day together in Savannah, and I'd tell you we went on that trip we planned to New York. I'd tell you she finally got me into running, and she would train me for the Av Half this year. I'd tell you many things, and many of our plans, but instead I get to tell you how different my year was. I get to tell you that I can't do anything by myself anymore, even in broad daylight. I get to tell you that a town I used to love being in just fills me with dread. That everywhere I go just reminds me of places we used to hang out and go on walks to. I tell you that I can't go past her old house and haven't been able to return to the IM field since. I tell you the weight of emptiness I feel when I still go to text her sometimes. This is now something I have to live with for the rest of my life, knowing her life was taken too soon, and things I was looking forward to will never happen. Being at each other's weddings, graduating together, and seeing each other's start our careers. This wasn't just a life that was taken, it was a future stolen. It's difficult living with knowing that nothing and nobody will ever fill the hole that's been left in our absence. I will never get to experience her famous belly laugh again, her comforting presence, or her cheering me on as we go through life. So many what-ifs play in my head over and over. If just one more thing maybe would have changed her path that day. But instead, my reality is that she is not here. And that because of what this animal did, we have sat here all week hearing every fraction of evidence and reliving the worst days of our life on repeat. I know nothing will bring her back, even though I so badly wish it would. But justice would bring comfort to us all. No one who can take away such a light and sweet soul deserves to walk free ever again. The death of my best friend has changed my life forever.
Carrie Howell.
Hi, Your Honor. I've started this over and over and over. Feeling paralyzed in my thoughts. With overwhelming emotions, not knowing which direction to go, because there's so much that can be said today. Everyone has spoken so beautifully over her, and I had the privilege of getting to speak about her at her celebration of life and getting to talk about all of the beautiful and wonderful things about her. My name is Carrie Howell, and my husband Matt and I have had the blessing of calling Laken and Lauren's parents, John and Allison Phillips, our best friends. John and Matt met in college, where they were roommates and fraternity brothers, and they formed a bond as friends that grew into a true brotherhood. This brotherhood between them extended to connect our families together in the same exact way. It is a friendship that runs deep and loves big. Our families and children have grown up together and had many adventures and vacations together over the last 20 plus years. We have had the privilege and joy of watching Laken and Lauren grow up. 272 days ago, on the morning of February 22nd, 2024, our lives were forever changed in a way none of us could have ever imagined. The moment I got the call from my husband that Laken had not returned home from her morning run, that no one could get her on the phone, and she was missing, I knew in my heart something horrific had happened to her. I had the worst feeling that she was no longer with us, but I prayed and prayed and prayed as I frantically got ready to make the drive to Athens to be with my friends. I was begging the Lord for her to still be alive, and as terrible as this would be, that she had just been kidnapped and would be found physically unharmed and alive, or that she would be able to escape to safety, and praying she wasn't being trafficked. I was literally praying for her to not be kidnapped. Like, that sounds so crazy. But that just at the time seemed better than the alternative. I've never prayed for anyone to be kidnapped. I get the calls on my phone, and in fact, I pray for those people to be found and unharmed. Can you imagine your pleading prayers with the Lord being for someone you adore and love to just be kidnapped? That option gave me hope in that moment that she would be brought back to her family alive. I was desperate for my friends. This nightmare spiraled out of control when I received another call from my husband while he was on the road, or while I was on the road to Athens. John had called my husband, and he said to my husband, "She's with Jesus, brother." That will never leave my memory.
As my oldest daughter and I sat in traffic on our way to Athens, time seemed to have stopped in that moment. Yet, as we are here 272 days later, time has continued. It has continued in ebbs and flows of every emotion you can experience. Time has stood still in utter disbelief that this precious human is gone, while day-to-day life continues on. This was an act of pure evil at the hands of Jose Antonio Ibarra. He willfully chose to prey on innocent young women on the morning of February 22nd, with Laken Hope Riley being the young woman he would succeed in torturing in the most excruciating and brutal way, while she fought not only for her life, but for her dignity. He must have believed that she was there for his taking, that he was entitled to whatever sick, perverted urges and desires he had that morning. Not one person on this planet has even one right to take what they want from a person simply because they want it. Yet Jose did that. Because of his evil actions, we are all being forced to learn how to navigate life with the stark, harsh reality of Laken no longer being here. Her amazing friends have been robbed of the beautiful gift of lifelong friendships and doing life together with their future husbands and children, the way my family and the Phillips family have been blessed to do all of these years. Her grandparents and aunts and uncles and cousins feel the absence of her presence constantly and have been robbed of the continued blessing of her being a bright light in their family. My family and I have journeyed alongside our dear friends as they attempt to navigate and learn how to live a new normal without their oldest daughter. I've gotten to know my best friend's face in a new way, a way I would give back if I could make returns on the most devastating circumstances life can hold. I look at her and I know when a situation is too much. I know when a comment is too much. I know when to be silent and when she needs encouragement. This year is showing on all of our faces, like the harshness of cold winter days, that there seems to be no end in sight. But we will keep fighting because we refuse to allow Jose Antonio Ibarra to take anything else from us, and we serve a good and mighty God. We've already been forced to journey through our annual family vacation without her, family get-togethers, fun events, and the absence of her presence is so deafening. I mean, sure, we still laugh and we're still living, we're still here. So we have to keep living, and we're going to honor her with everything that we have. And we're just going to keep trusting in the Lord to help our dear friends and sweet Lauren with all of the things that they're now not going to experience with their daughter. No parent should have to say goodbye to their daughter in this manner. The loss of a child is devastating no matter what the circumstances are. But when it's something like this where evil intentionally goes out to harm somebody, there's no words for it. And so today I stand before you with her friends and family, and we ask you, Your Honor, to bring earthly justice for our precious Laken and for all of us who love her so very much. She was truly one of the most precious people that I've ever had the honor of knowing. She exhibited the fruit of the Spirit in the Bible because she truly lived her life for Jesus, as you got to hear John read in her journal entry. That was her. That was a private entry, not for anyone else, and you got to see the type of person that she truly is in her heart. Pure and lovely, and her laugh that everyone has talked about, literally one of all of our favorite things about her. And we never get to hear it again because of him. So we ask Your Honor, for you to consider in your sentencing for him to not be able to ever be out of prison and for him to spend all of his days there without any possibility of getting out. Thank you.
Tell me your name again.
It is Carrie Howell.
Carrie?
Yes, sir.
And Your Honor, that at this time completes the statements for victim impact evidence from Laken's family and friends. The state would also have a few more items to present for victim impact, and then I'll address the indictment with the court. And one of the things I wanted to share with the court is that a lot of times when we hear victim impact evidence, it is very much so the way that we hear it here in court. Hold on, I'm going to pause this for. But what we have in this case is something that I ran across in my review of the evidence in this case, which is really 1 minute of when or where this court will be able to get the true impact of what the murder of Laken Riley did to her family and the impact of his actions on her family. Because what the investigators did in this case is, as you know, they were all wearing body cam videos, and there's hundreds of hours of it in here. And there is one moment where, and I'm just going to play 1 minute of it, just 1 minute of the horror that this family has gone through in the last 9 months and what they're going to continue to go through for the rest of their lives. And it is the moment that they learned that their daughter was dead. And in this video clip that I'm showing, which I've marked as states 333, at the top right corner, it's at 1950, you'll see a black truck.
Okay, let's step over here. Come on, let's go. Come over here, all right?
All right, this is at the sentencing of Jose Ibarra for the murder of Laken Riley. They are showing video footage of when the family was notified that they had found Laken Riley. The mother, Veronica, as you can see there, is just basically collapsing on the side of the road.
Yeah, she is. She's lying straight back on the grass, having sat on the curb and fallen straight back. The tears here. I mean, you can. I feel like this grief is actually palpable. Look at her lying on the ground now on her side, curled up in the fetal position. Right. It's heartbreaking.
And that's how it was on that day when they came here to look for their daughter. And what it took away, you heard from her friends and family, and some of the things that you even heard in the trial. You got a little peek, just a little peek, about the personality of Laken Riley. For example, in Lily's 911 call, one of the things she says is, Laken never misses class. Never misses class. That's the kind of person she was. And in our review of all the evidence in this case, some of the things we had to look at were the social media presence of everyone, and there was a lot of digital evidence in this case. And the review of the digital evidence, I want to share with you just some of it, which has been marked State's Exhibit 336, is that Laken was a very joyful and quite silly, playful person. And a lot of that is viewed in her social media. And the Ring doorbell. Running Same race. And these are just little snippets that we saw in the investigation that we thought would be important to share with the court, that shows not only the type of person that she was, that you just heard from her friends and family, but the true impact that her murder had on her parents. But more than that, one of the things that the court is permitted to consider in victim impact testimony is the impact that her death has on this community. And in that regard, the investigative team has spent a great deal of time out there at the crime scene, Lake Herrick, all of those trails, and looking for things, measuring things, just going about the daily jobs of homicide investigators and homicide prosecutors. And one thing that we noticed that's still there is States 335. It's a mural, a memorial to Laken Riley that is still up there to this day, that shows the impact of her death on this community. And that is something that Your Honor is permitted to consider in deciding what would be an appropriate sentence in this case. And everyone is correct, and I'm sure we'll hear it. You know, whatever you do, Judge, you can't bring her back, and it's horrible. But what you can do is give comfort with your sentence. And what you can do and what you are permitted to do, and what I urge this court to do, and what the law permits this court to do, is to exercise your discretion and your judgment in a way that brings comfort to this community, and in a way that a sentence which appropriately reflects the harm that was done in this case. And a sentence of life without the possibility of parole would bring comfort to this community. And no matter what your sentence is today, and it will be litigated from here to 40 years from now, there is at least one person in this courtroom who will inherit it, and that is Lauren Phillips. That is Laken's younger sister. And she should never, first of all, she's growing up without her sister. She's going to have to deal with elderly parents alone. Her children won't have an aunt. She is an only child. And she should not have to worry 30 years from now, 40 years from now, if he comes up for parole, should he might get out. She should never have to worry about that. And your sentence can ensure that she will not have to worry about that. And so in looking at the indictment in this case, count one, the offense of malice murder, which this defendant has been found guilty of, in this particular case carries a maximum sentence of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. It carries a minimum sentence of life imprisonment with the possibility of parole. The state is requesting that you sentence this defendant to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, not only due to the victim impact testimony, but also because if you read the indictment, which you have obviously, and you're familiar with the facts of the case because you've heard the case, there are several statutory aggravators in this case that separates this case from a regular murder case. And yes, there is malice murder, and all malice murder is bad. I'm not saying there's a malice murder that isn't bad, but there are some malice murders which are more aggravated than others, and this is one of them. Kidnapping with bodily injury, which is the felony murder in count 2, which by the way would be vacated as a matter of law, but not the kidnapping itself, which is count 5. But kidnapping with bodily injury is an aggravating statutory factor under our sentencing scheme in the state of Georgia. It makes malice murder worse than regular murder. And for that reason alone, you should sentence this defendant to life without the possibility of parole. Aggravated battery, which is also in this indictment and which is also the facts and it's also something he's been convicted of, is also a statutory aggravator under our statutory scheme, which makes this murder different and worse than a regular malice murder. So there are aggravating circumstances, which you have already heard, which I will not repeat to you, but that are not only recognized by the facts, but are recognized by our statutory sentencing scheme. So going down the rest of the indictment, felony murder count 2 is vacated as a matter of law. Felony murder count 3 would be vacated as a matter of law. Felony murder count 4 would be vacated as a matter of law. On count 5, kidnapping with bodily injury, the state is asking you to sentence this defendant to a sentence of life imprisonment with the possibility of parole, which is the maximum for that count. And we are going to ask that you run that consecutive to count 1, a sentence of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole for the malice murder. Count 6 is aggravated assault with intent to rape. It does not merge. In fact, it is a separate crime under these circumstances. The penalty for that is 1 to 20 years in prison. The state would be asking you to sentence this defendant to 20 years to serve in prison. Count 7 of the indictment, the aggravated battery, would merge as a matter of law into count 1, so we would not request a sentence on that count. Count 8, obstruction or hindering a person making an emergency telephone call, is a misdemeanor. The maximum penalty for that is 12 months to serve in a county jail. We ask that you sentence him to that and run it consecutive to any other sentence that you impose in this case. Count 9, tampering with evidence, the way that it is actually alleged in the indictment and factually, it is a misdemeanor. So the maximum for that is 12 months to serve in a county jail. We ask that you sentence him to that and run it consecutive to any other sentence that you impose in this case. And finally, count 10 of the indictment, peeping Tom, is a felony which carries a penalty between 1 to 5 years in prison. We ask that you sentence him to 5 years to serve in prison to run consecutive to count 1. So to sum it up on count, the sentence would be on count 1, life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Count 5, life imprisonment with the possibility of parole to run consecutive to count 1. Count 6, 20 years to serve to run consecutive. Count 7 will merge. Count 8, 12 months to serve to run consecutive. Count 9, 12 months to serve to run consecutive. And count 10, 5 years to serve to run consecutive. And that is the sentence that the state is requesting.
Mr. Donnelly?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So obviously the court is aware that on count 1, there's really only 2 options before the court. It's an automatic life sentence. The only option is whether the court can indicate that it should be without the possibility of future parole. We're asking the court to not impose that. The life without parole. Getting a life sentence is automatic. There's certainly no guarantee of parole, and would be uncertain, and it would be many decades in the future. And we do not oppose the state's recommendation that the life sentence, which is also mandatory on count 5, be made consecutive. We certainly, just to state the obvious, trust that the court will not consider for sentencing purposes the fact that Mr. Ibarra had a trial. The defense has made every attempt, made every effort to do its job and to pursue this process in a way to respect both the process itself and also to not cause any disrespect toward the feelings of Ms. Riley's loved ones. And if anything like that has happened, it certainly was not intended. And the defense is not immune to the sensitivity of this case. Again, to not only her loved ones, but to the greater community. The state's request is not unexpected to us. We anticipated that, and it's certainly understandable. And there is, though, a divide there. The state, while it is understandable the request that they make, the court there's some separation given here in this process, and the court will be the one to impose it. So our request that you give consecutive life sentences on counts 1 and count 5. We have no position on the remaining counts. We'll send a message that to whatever future custodian of Mr. Ibarra as to the gravity of this crime and the gravity of this situation. That the court has expressed an intention for, it's obviously a legal fiction that he would serve 2 life sentences behind bars, but the law allows that, and it does, it sends that message to the future custodians as to the gravity. But the withholding of the life without parole aspect of count 1 would at least give Mr. Ibarra the sliver of incentive to reflect and conduct himself with some recognition of that reflection. The state agency and the staff of that agency, who will be tasked with supervising his custody, will have the opportunity to monitor him closely for, again, many years, many decades into the future. And it's impossible to know the future, obviously. But by imposing life sentences without removing the future custodians to the ability to do their job is our request at this time. And we also would point out that given his status with there is an immigration hold, that were he ever in the future to be released, it would only to be deported. That's all I have. Within the discretion of the court. Thank you.
All right, and so we are waiting on the sentencing from the judge there from that courtroom in Athens, Clark County, in the murder of Laken Riley. Jose Ibarra found guilty. And we're just waiting on the sentencing from the judge. Some very moving testimony from the victim impact statements today, Veronica. I think the most moving was the mother, for sure, talking about her daughter, and then the stepfather reading the letter from the journal from Laken, talking about her future husband.
Yeah, those were some really powerful words from Allison Phillips and her stepfather as well, John Phillips. Allison Phillips did not mince words in calling Jose Antonio Ibarra a monster. She urged the judge to show no mercy toward Ibarra at sentencing, the way she says he showed no mercy to her daughter. And John Phillips wanted to make sure that the maximum, is Judge Haggard speaking? Let's see what he's going to say.
This is just another stage or event in this tragedy, and that's the way I view that. People mean well by saying that, but it's I've heard it explained that when you have something like this that impacts one or many, you even have to make a conscious effort to breathe at sometimes, and that just comes on you at any particular, you just don't know what's going to bring it on you. And you realize that you do make it through the day, but you don't know how you did it. But I also, and this goes back to what Carrie Howell was saying, that, as many times as you reflect on the loss, at some point you start smiling about the memories, and I'm hopeful that at some point that takes over to a certain extent. But there's very little, including the sentence of Mr. Ibarra that's going to help much, and I acknowledge that. With that, Mr. Ibarra, if you will please stand. Count 1, malice murder. I sentence you to life without the possibility of parole. Count 2 will be vacated as a matter of operation of law. Count 3, vacated by operation of law. Count 4, vacated by operation of law. Count 5, life in prison consecutive to count 1. Count 6, 20 years to serve consecutive to count 5. Count 7 will merge with count 1. Count 8, 12 months consecutive to count 6. Strike that. 12 months, but I don't want it to 6. It's just going to be consecutive. Count 9, 12 months consecutive. Count 10, 5 years consecutive to count 6. So that would mean the misdemeanors would come after the felonies. That will be the sentence. Mr. Ibarra, I will advise you that you have 30 days from today to seek any post-judgment relief in the form of a motion for a new trial or appealing this case directly. If you make a motion for a new trial and that is denied, you have 30 days from that date to file your first appeal, first level of appeal. Court will appoint a lawyer to represent you if you cannot afford one. I'll also advise you that you have 4 years from the date that your conviction becomes final in order to file a habeas corpus petition. Mr. Donnelly, can you tell me, are you all going to be involved in the next stage?
That remains to be seen, but my understanding is that we will remain on at the court's appointment until unless relieved by conflict counsel.
All right, and you'll make those arrangements.
We will communicate that with Mr. Ibarra and with the court.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Ms. Ross?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. It's going to take a little. Yeah. Can we take the? Okay, that'll be fine. Can do that.
Everybody remain seated, please.
All right, you have been listening live to the sentencing there of Jose Ibarra, found guilty of killing nursing student Laken Riley. We brought you all of the victim impact statements at that sentencing for Jose Ibarra, so you could feel the full impact. We heard from the mother, we heard from the stepfather, we heard from the sisters, and I think Veronica, he was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole, which basically means he is never getting out of prison.
Mm-hmm.
And
Correct.
when you look at the words used to describe, I think the biggest contrast for me was when they were describing Jose Ibarra: predator, evil, monster, coward, animal. When they described Laken, it was words like selfless, joyful, kind, best friend, loving God, fearless, devoted, special sister, loving sister, sweet soul, pure. And that tells you the contrast of these two individuals, one ending up dead on the 22nd day of February.
And at the hands of the other, the one that was called the sick and twisted monster.
Right.
She's a woman who got up at 4:30 in the morning, even though she had a nursing clinical at 5 a.m., so she could set up a nice birthday celebration for one of her roommates. She was thoughtful that way. She volunteered with the elderly in nursing homes. She went on mission trips. Her faith in Christ was strong, and she lived her life as such, trying to give to so many people. And no one can understand why Jose Ibarra would target her in this way, but for the fact, as the prosecutor Sheila Ross said, he was a predator who was hunting females. And when he couldn't get into the apartment of that doctoral student on the UGA campus, he went lurking around that running trail looking for another victim.
Right.
He was determined to hurt someone that day.
And when we looked at, we can see the feed from the courthouse there in Athens, Clarke County. I was looking at Ibarra just to see his reaction.
Almost nothing.
There was nothing.
Almost nothing.
No
You could
expression.
see occasionally a slight nod as the interpreter leaned over, and she kept the interpretation going throughout all of this. He would sometimes look at the people who were speaking, sometimes looking down at the table I could see, and he looked at the judge a couple of times as
But no
the judge
emotion.
was sentencing him. But his eyes, I don't want to say his eyes were dead, but there were not dead eyes. They
Empty.
were emotionless.
Yes, exactly.
They were emotionless. And you and I mentioned that he looked like he was chewing the inside of his jaw from time to time, maybe thinking about something. But
No
there
remorse
was
on the
nothing.
face.
And I was actually hoping that he would take the opportunity to apologize, to say something. No words can be a salve for something like this. But sometimes you just want somebody to take responsibility, and just for people to think about the legal process and how beautiful the justice system is in our country when it does work. The defense did say to the judge, we don't want you to take the fact that the defendant had a trial as a sign of disrespect here, as a sign of insensitivity to the family. This is what a defendant is entitled to here in the United States of America when accused of a crime in this way. And just because he didn't plead guilty out of the box and went to trial so that the state could prove his innocence prove his guilt, beyond a reasonable doubt, is no reason to hold that against the defendant here. I thought that this trial was conducted in a beautiful and efficient fashion. I believe that if anybody looks at the evidence objectively, as we know Judge Patrick Haggard did, they would be in agreement with the evidence that was presented. The defense put up a fight, but the state was ready for that, and they cut some of those arguments off at the knees when you had them trying to say, hey, maybe it was the brother who did it and Jose was just covering up. Well, how do you explain that the brother who saw this bloody jacket being thrown into a dumpster and didn't know why police were showing him in this video said, oh, yeah, that's my brother, that's Victor. So this was a well-fought case on both sides. I think the defense did the best it could with what they had, but they just didn't have enough because I think the state overwhelmingly proved that he was guilty of the murder of Laken Riley. And kudos to Special Prosecutor Sheila Ross, whom I've covered. I covered her for years when she was an assistant district attorney in Fulton County, and she was as good then as she is now. She is amazing. She does a phenomenal job of putting together all of the evidence and presenting it to what's usually a jury in a case like this. And she does such a phenomenal job of speaking for the victim.
What happens now? He's been found guilty and sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. You cover this, the courts all the time. So are they going to transport him somewhere? What happens at this point?
Typically, the defendant, after being convicted like this, would go to the state diagnostic prison in Jackson, which is where a lot of paperwork is done and assessments to figure out where there's space for him and where he can go behind bars to serve his sentence.
All right. Well, thank you very much for helping me cover this. Again, you've heard it here live. Jose Ibarra found guilty and has been sentenced to prison without the possibility of parole in the murder of Laken Riley. You're listening to 95.5 WSB.
149, the Cooley Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center with a crash on the connector 7585 northbound at 17th Street, exit 251, pretty much now off to the left. However, you're looking at delays to stretch back to around University. And this report brought to you by PureTalk.com. Stop overpaying for your cell phone plan. Pure Talk gives you unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month on their 5G network. Dial pound 250 and say keyword switch now to save 50% off your first month. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
Join the Triple Team Traffic crew on Friday, November 22nd from 9 a.m. to noon at the Publix located at 11800 Haynesbridge Road in Alpharetta.
For the annual Triple Team Traffic Food Drive benefiting Atlanta Community Food Bank.
The first 20 people to donate a frozen turkey will receive 2 tickets to Trans-Siberian Orchestra
at Gas South Arena on December 15th while supplies last.
For more information, visit WSBradio.com.
It's Eric. Are you thinking of adding value to your house, or just you want more convenience and more comfort in your kitchen? Frugal Kitchens can get you one of those $1 million home kitchens at a fraction of the cost. They want to talk to you about how you can go through their process, get your new dream kitchen up and going, and you can be cooking in 5 days from the start of construction and get 18 months no interest financing available. It's what Christy and I have done. Life happens in your kitchen, and Frugal Kitchens can put you in a great one. FrugalKitchens.com.
If your home's AC system hobbled through this summer, listen up as I'm about to save you some money. Hi, this is Daniel Jape from Jape Services. Industry regulations are changing at the end of the year, and all heating and cooling systems will see a price increase. Get your system up to future standards now and beat that price increase. Plus, with up to $3,000 in incentives and 0% financing, you can get comfortable now and pay later. Schedule at japeservices.com.
Jape Services.
This is Belinda for Atlanta Vision Institute, and I want Rose to tell you her story about how she had laser optics and how the procedure totally changed her life.
It had become impossible to drive at night. It had actually even become impossible to drive during the day. I knew it was dangerous, and I knew I was pushing my luck. So I finally decided to do something about it and saw Dr. Ashraf, who recommended laser optic surgery. After the first procedure on the right eye, it worked so beautifully. I couldn't wait to get the second eye done. I'm very excited about trying out my new eyes.
Folks, what are you waiting for? Go to the website 2020atlanta.com to find out more information and take the quiz to see if this procedure will be a good option for you. That's 2020atlanta.com. Your medical insurance may cover part of it. Remember, that's 2020atlanta.com.
WSB Atlanta, WSBB FM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Right now at Affordable Dentures and Implants, we're making it even easier to get the smile you deserve. For a limited time, we're offering 15% off most treatment plans over $1,000. Let Affordable Dentures and Implants help you get your new smile before the new year. Call 1-800-DENTURE today to get started. Offer ends November 27th. Restrictions apply. Visit AffordableDentures.com to learn more.
Go ahead and smile.
Make the most of your holidays with the Kroger app. You can enjoy over $600 in digital coupons every week. Get access to low prices and earn fuel points to save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump. The Kroger app makes it easy to save this holiday season. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Fuel restrictions apply.
Right now, frozen grade A Kroger brand turkey is 69 cents a pound with your card and digital coupon and an additional $25 purchase. Limit 2. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Dave, what are you doing?
Just sending a gift to Dave 2037.
Who?
Me in the future. I save a little money from every paycheck as a gift to Dave 2037, so he can spend it on things like anti-gravity boots or a hologram Doberman, something cool like that. I think Dave 2037 deserves it. He worked hard. What are you getting Steve 2037?
I guess I was thinking Steve 2037 would just fend for himself.
Well, all right, but don't expect to be borrowing my anti-gravity boots.
You want to have money in your future? You got to start saving now. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Hey, let's just hope Steve 2037 doesn't get his hands on a cold time machine, because he is going to come back here and knock some sense into you.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Be on the show? Come on, be on the show. Call Eric now at 877-973-7425.
Some more breaking news for you. Jose Ibarra has been sentenced to life without parole, not getting the death penalty. The judge in Athens, Clark County, Georgia, says we'll just be paying for him for the rest of his life. Life without parole. This is the murder of Laken Riley over in Athens, Georgia. It took the judge 15 minutes to render his verdict. And then after the sentencing period of listening to statements from the family and friends of Laken Riley, sentenced him, Jose Ibarra, to life in prison. I am learning something about you guys. There are a lot of you who want pet raccoons. It's not just my wife. My gosh, a whole lot of people want pet raccoons. All right. We gotta turn to serious stuff, because there actually is, and I do want to talk about the single cat ladies when we come back, because there's some interesting data out there you probably haven't heard. But first, this is super disturbing. Anyone can buy data tracking U.S. soldiers and spies and tie them to nuclear vaults and even to brothels in Germany, among other things. This is a wild, wild story. It is at Wired Magazine, and essentially our soldiers, sailors, and airmen can be tracked based on their cell phone data and metrics. And it's kind of creepy just how much data they can get. More than 3 billion phone coordinates collected by a U.S. data broker expose the detailed movements of U.S. military and intelligence workers in Germany, and the Pentagon can't stop it. Nearly every weekday morning, a device leaves a two-story home near Wiesbaden, Germany, and makes a 15-minute commute. Around 7 a.m., it arrives at Lucius Clay Kaserne, the U.S. Army European headquarters. You can track it to lunch. You can track it to where they live. You know who they are, and it turns out to be a senior-ranking military official, and it's very easy to do. Insane. We'll spend some more time on this in the next hour. First, I got to tell you, Omaha Steaks is back for the holiday season, and they would love to have you. You know, I've been giving Omaha Steaks since I was in law school, or college, rather. I needed to impress employers with professional gifts. Steak is a great gift. With the holidays coming up, Omaha Steaks wants to make it even affordable. They understand the economic situation we're in, so here's the deal. If you go to omahasteaks.com today, you use Eric as your promo code at checkout, and you're going to save $30. Minimum order required, and you can get a $30 credit for future order as well. You go to omahasteaks.com. In fact, if you put Eric in the search bar, you can get an incredible package. I'm going to do this for you. Omaha Steaks, OMAHA steaks.com. You'll see the search bar at the top of the site. You put in ERICK and press return, and you can see the festive gift with free burgers, butcher cut top sirloins, chicken breast, gourmet jumbo franks, caramel apple tartlets. My wife loves the Omaha Steak seasoning. You can upgrade it at checkout. Use Eric, ERICK, as your promo code for an extra $30 off at omahasteaks.com. Check them out today.
The holidays are a magical time to get engaged. At Shane Company, we're here to help you create your dream engagement ring in just 3 easy steps. Choose a setting that speaks to your style. Compare diamonds and colorful gemstones in all shapes and sizes. Then personalize it with a decorative crown and special engraving. Or choose a perfectly preset ring that's ready to go. At Shane Company, you'll find everyday competitive prices, a no-pressure environment, and an unmatched free lifetime warranty. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
New investigations break on Channel 2 Action News. We get problems solved, plain and simple. Every day we follow the facts.
Started digging, only to find...
Getting you the answers you need now.
We have live. Team 2 coverage.
Channel 2 never stops advocating for you.
An investigation regarding your tax dollars.
We're more than just Atlanta's news.
A warning for consumers regarding...
We've got your back all over North Georgia. See what's new, live, every day at 4, 5, and 6 on Channel 2 Action News.
WSB Atlanta, WSBB FM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
news, weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2 o'clock, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top local story. An emotional day in an Athens courtroom as Laken Riley's convicted killer is sentenced moments ago. Let's get a live update now from WSB's Veronica Waters.
And Caiaccio, let's talk about the emotion through that sentencing, through throats choked with emotion and voices full of tears. Laken Riley's family and friends pleaded for no mercy for her murderer, Jose Ibarra. Riley's mother, Allison Phillips, called him sick, twisted, evil, a monster.
Your Honor, I'm asking you to please give Jose Ibarra the same thing he gave us when he made the choice to take Laken's life and destroy ours. He showed no mercy on Laken when she was begging for her life.
We heard that Riley was full of joy, a thoughtful friend, was a lover of Christ, took mission trips, volunteered with the elderly, and had an infectious laugh. Her younger sister Lauren says it was a privilege to have Laken as a big sister, whom she called her role model.
I've been lost ever since she was senselessly stripped from our lives by Jose Antonio Ibarra. I now have this hole in my heart and in my life that I know will never be filled.
Roommates also spoke of the hole in their own lives left by what they called her senseless killing. Jose Ibarra, for his part, had little to no reaction at the defense table. He would occasionally look at those who were speaking and at the judge when the judge pronounced sentence, but otherwise did not react. Judge Patrick Haggard in Clark County sentencing Ibarra to life without the possibility of parole, and by my calculations, plus 27 years consecutive to serve on top of that for counts including aggravated assault with intent to rape, tampering with evidence, and kidnapping. Again, Jose Ibarra now convicted and will serve life in prison without the possibility of parole for the malice murder of 22-year-old nursing student Laken Riley. Reporting live, Veronica Waters, 95.5 WSB.
And earlier, Judge Patrick Haggard found Jose Ibarra guilty of murdering Laken Riley in February as she went for a jog on the UGA campus. Ibarra had waived his right to a jury trial, leaving the verdict and then the sentencing up to the judge. It is now 2:02, and up next, live team coverage of traffic and weather.
When historians look back, they're going to say, oh, that was a red-letter day in Atlanta history when QC Kinetics arrived. Hey, it's Mark Aaron back with you. You know, the demand for QC treatment so strong, opening another clinic, this one in Douglasville, while continuing treatment in Lawrenceville, Sandy Springs, Marietta, and Stockbridge. Friends, QC Kinetics, a game changer. The nation's leader in regenerative medicine, using a modern-day approach to deal with chronic joint pain. All-natural process that uses healing properties from your own body to restore and repair damaged tissue in your joints. So what's that mean? It means you can get your life back, be active again without that chronic pain and without surgery or drugs. Stop putting it off. If you have arthritic pain or pain from an injury, do what so many others have already done. Call QC Kinetics, free consultation. Call now, 770-285-8026. That's 770-285-8026. QC Kinetics. Call them, 770-285-8026.
Hey, it's Ashley Frasca from the traffic team. And you know, when I report traffic every morning, I hear from people that are jammed up. They are bumper to bumper, and there's not enough room to move on the Atlanta roads. You know that. So let me ask you, is the storage at your business like that? Do you feel like you've outgrown your space? Shipping Containers for You has the perfect solution. Shipping Containers for You has 40-foot and 20-foot containers that can be delivered to you within days. Go to shippingcontainersforyou.com. Find the shipping container that you need for your home or business and have it delivered within days.
Hey, it's Eric Erickson. I've got with me Mark Spain from Mark Spain Real Estate. Mark, as you know, many people want a simple home selling experience. Can you explain why the guaranteed offer takes away all the stress and makes the process as easy as y'all make it?
Mark Spain Real Estate Guaranteed Offer eliminates the hassle of a traditional home sale by no showings, no open houses, no lock boxes. It's really a very simple process. We bring you a strong cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days, and you don't have all those crazy contingencies and crazy hurdles to overcome with a traditional home sale.
Thanks, Mark. Don't let the home sale process overwhelm you guys. As you heard Mark say, Mark Spain Real Estate's guaranteed offer allows you to bypass the market. You skip the hassle. You receive the strongest cash offer in the industry. Selling your home's a big decision. That's why who you work with matters. Go to markspain.com. Find out what your guaranteed offer will be. There's no obligation. markspain.com and start packing.
It is 2:05 and time now for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Veronica Harrell in the 24-hour traffic center.
And saying good afternoon to you, Bill. Better news for folks making their way over in Midtown. The crash is cleared. 75-85 northbound up around 17th Street, exit 251. Delays still stretch back to around I-20. Our own Kobe Dawkins says watch out for a stalled tractor-trailer over in that left lane over on Sidney Marcus Boulevard, just north of Georgia 400, causing delays there. And maybe something new going on. 285 eastbound, that outer loop, east of 675. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. The clouds moving out, temperatures climbing to a high of 70 degrees before the cold front arrives later this afternoon and evening, knocking our temperatures down to the upper 30s for tomorrow morning. Windy for tomorrow afternoon with the sunshine, high 54, wind gusts as high as 30 miles per hour. A cold start on Friday, morning low 36, afternoon highs in the upper 40s to low 50s.
Right now it is 67 degrees in Mableton, 69 in Duluth. It is 74 in Jonesboro. More news at 2:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Greetings, conversationalists. Welcome. It's Eric Erickson here across the United States of America. The phone number is 877-973-7425. If you would like to be on the program, I would be happy to have you. I want to turn our attention, before we get back to the military in China, to single cap ladies. It was something of a pejorative used on the campaign trail by J.D. Vance, and there was a lot of outrage. And at the time I said it was not necessarily something that we needed to point out, much like Kamala Harris being detached from the black community. It was just something people kind of understood. So step back for a minute and let's take Kamala Harris and the black community. In the South, where I am, if you talk to a lot of black women or black men, and you got onto the subject of politics, they may not like Donald Trump, but if you had a relationship with these people, inevitably what would come up is that Kamala Harris did not have the quote-unquote black experience. Now, that's not me saying that. I'm just relating to you conversations of black Americans. You go to South Carolina, go to Georgia, go to North Carolina. You talk to black women, go up to Michigan, talk to black women in Detroit. Kamala Harris grew up in Canada and then in Berkeley, California. Her parents were upper income. Her father descended from slave owners in Jamaica. Her mother's an Indian immigrant. She did not have the experience of a black woman in this country. She just didn't. And they knew it. And if you or I or Donald Trump were to talk about this, they'd get defensive of Kamala Harris. Because it was a conversation, whether you want to admit it or not, whether you want to say it or not, there are things you and I both understand that some people can say and other people can't, or at least are supposed to. Like, for example, the N-word, you and I are not going to say it. It's just, it is a matter of historic racial issues in this country. And so a black woman in this country can say it, but if Donald Trump goes on the campaign trail and starts talking about it, people are going, black women are going to get defensive of Kamala Harris. It's going to be one of those things they can say, you can't say. And it's very similar to single cat ladies, although we all know them because single cat ladies, particularly the white ones, are the loudest, most obnoxious people on social media. And they're the ones who want to talk to the pollsters. I am firmly convinced. You know, Ann Selzer, the pollster, it was not a hit job. And I know because someone you like said it, you believe it, that it was a hit job designed to suppress the Trump vote. It's not it at all. Ann Selzer just uses a polling methodology that's increasingly outdated, and she retired. it's a shame because she actually is one of the best pollsters in the country and one of the most intellectually honest pollsters in the country. And her last poll was a very bad poll. She had already said she was going to retire. One of the rumor mills is that she was pushed to retire because of the poll. She was already going to retire. Wasn't commonly known, but it was known among the polling community. This was it. And she went down in flames with that last poll. The reason she went down with flames with that last poll is because the single cat ladies are the ones who are most likely to want to talk to the pollster. See, this is the thing. This is how you kind of had a sense that Kamala Harris was probably not doing well, is because Democrats started positing a theory that there's a secret Kamala Harris voter out there. It used to be that there was a secret Trump voter, but now it's a secret Harris voter. No, the hell there's not. I'm sorry. Every single person I know who supported Kamala Harris was loud and proud about it. I pass by a house. When I leave my office in Middle Georgia every day to go home, there's a house, it's a little Tudor-style house on a triangular-shaped lot across from our federal building. And they had Harris signs hanging off. So let me paint this picture for you. It's kind of like a rampart almost. You go past, and it is a triangular-shaped wall that's elevated with a garden at the top, and they put posts out so that they were perpendicular to the way you were driving, and you could see them head on. Harris walls, Harris walls. They had like 5 or 6 signs on each side, and underneath they said, obviously. As if who except the troglodytes could vote for Donald Trump. And that's the thing, is that so many of the Harris Walsh voters were so smug about it, it's impossible to have ever believed there was a secret Harris voter. The Harris voters were the most obnoxious and bullying voters out there. Like, y'all, I'll be real honest with you. I stopped going to church the last week or so before the election just because I knew it was going to be constantly, what do you think about the election? What do you think about the election? I'm not here to talk about the election. And so if I went into church, and I did, I'd go into church and I would go in through a different door and I would sit down right before worship service began, but just trying to wade through. And it's not meaning disrespecting anybody, it's just state of my life. Right around the election time, I stay away from grocery stores and places because everybody wants to talk about the election, and I'm so over the election. I never went anywhere where I didn't encounter someone who was voting for Kamala Harris, except church, thank God. But everywhere I went, with the exception of church, I always ran into someone who was going to vote for Kamala Harris, and they needed me to know they were voting for Kamala Harris. I don't need to know who you're voting for. I don't care who you're voting for. Yeah, I love you. I don't care. But I wish you wouldn't vote for it. But nonetheless, I don't really care. But there's no such thing as a secret Harris voter. And that's the thing with the single cat ladies. They're the loudest people out there, the most brazen people. My buddy Con Carroll. Con Carroll is a great guy. He's worked for Mike Lee. He writes at the Washington Examiner. He's got a new book out, Sex and the Citizen, How the Assault on Marriage is Destroying Democracy. And the single cat lady phenomenon is actually one of the perfect encapsulations of this data. Let me give you the data. Married women, majority of married women, we now have the final exit polling from Edison Research. 60% of married men voted for Donald Trump. 51% of married women voted for Donald Trump. 49% of unmarried men voted for Donald Trump, 47% for Harris. But 59% of unmarried women voted for Kamala Harris. Unmarried men actually have swung towards the Republicans by about 20 percentage points. I think it's very funny. Planned Parenthood says that since the election, their percentage of requests for vasectomies have skyrocketed like 400%. There are a lot of unmarried and some married men who are getting vasectomies. They don't want to have kids. Unmarried women are increasingly ensuring they'll never have kids. And unmarried women are the most hysterical in this country. I can't emphasize this enough to you, that married people in this country overall have better mental health. In fact, married Christians in America, and I specifically say Christians because Muslim, Jew, Buddhist, Hindu, atheist, doesn't matter. A married evangelical Bible-believing Christian, that is someone who is a regular churchgoer who believes that the Bible is the inerrant word of God. That is just, so we're dealing with definitions here so you understand it. A Bible-believing evangelical, someone who regularly goes to church, who believes the Bible is the inerrant word of God, not inspired, but actually is the inerrant word of God, that person, if married, has better mental health than any other group on the planet. Better mental health than Jews, better mental health than Muslims, better mental health than Hindus, better mental health than Zoroastrians, better mental health than secular atheists. Married Christians in this country who regularly go to church and believe the Bible are the happiest people with the best mental health. That's not in dispute, and I need you to understand, it's isn't something that comes up a lot on TV or radio, but it's not even disputable. That is the data. I'm not making that up. And it's not a coincidence that single childless cat women, or dog women for that matter, single childless women, are the most neurotic, most worried, and most fretful. Who's going to take care of them? Well, I guess I'm going to take care of myself. And now I got to take care of my cat. And they're not happy people. They are not happy people. Con Carroll, in his book Sex and the Citizen, How the Assault on Marriage is Destroying Democracy, writes in the Washington Examiner today, there's a lifestyle revolution going on in affluent liberal circles, including open marriage, polyamory, and other alternatives to monogamy that weaken the commitment of couples and undermine family bonds. And it's the Democrats that are most open to these alternate lifestyles. According to the National Opinion Research Center, less than half of college-educated Democrats agree that sex with someone other than one's spouse is always wrong, while more than 80% of Republicans believe that it is. The vast majority of Democrats may believe that marriage is just a personal choice that doesn't affect other people. 73% told the Pew Research Center that unmarried couples do just as good a job at raising children as married couples. But decades of data show they're wrong. Children from unmarried households are less likely to finish high school, more likely to get in trouble with the law, are less likely to be employed than those from married households. Married spouses benefit from marriage. Married women are healthier, happier, and wealthier than their unmarried counterparts. The positive effects of marriage are even stronger for men who live longer on average than those who are single. And this is the wild, crazy part of all the data. If you're married, take the faith component out of it for a minute. But if you're married, you have higher income, your family's more stable, your children succeed better in life, you tend to be healthier, live longer, and happier. Add the faith component to it. Among married couples who are happier, wealthier, healthier, and live the longest, it's people who take their faith seriously, particularly regular Christian church-going evangelicals. And now you can understand why the Democrats are so big into advancing singlehood, are so willing to denigrate marriage. If the Democrats are willing to flood this country with illegal aliens, to pad their numbers for the Electoral College, they're just as capable of trying to undermine marital integrity in this country and advance alternate lifestyles because they see that's where their growth is in the numbers. 59% of unmarried women voted Democrat. The single biggest indicator these days of who votes Democrat is a college-educated single woman. So, of course, they're going to denigrate marriage, denigrate faith, and denigrate social stability It has nothing to do with what's good for culture and what's good for society. It has everything to do with what's good for political power for the Democrats. So parents, they're going to be bred out of existence. They're not having kids. They're not reproducing. They're getting sterilized. You parents, when you raise your children, when you hand them over to the government school because you're not homeschooling them or sending them to a Christian classical school or a charter school, when you hand them over to the state to be educated, when they come home, you need to remind them faith is real and marriage is a good thing, because they're not going to get that in the schools that the Democrats are in charge of.
He's got the courage to tell you the actual truth, even when it isn't popular. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
220 in the Coolray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. It is a crash over in the left lane, 285 eastbound. That outer loop just east of 675, causing delays for you back to Moreland Avenue. This report brought to you by PureTalk.com. Stop overpaying for your cell phone plan. Pure Talk gives you unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month on their 5G network. Dial pound 250 and say keyword switch now to save 50% off your first month. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
Join the Triple Team Traffic Crew on Friday, November 22nd from 9 a.m. to noon
at the Publix located at 11800 Haynesbridge Road in Alpharetta
for the annual Triple Team Traffic Food Drive benefiting Atlanta Community Food Bank.
The first 20 people to donate a frozen turkey will receive 2 tickets to Trans-Siberian Orchestra at Gas South Arena on December 15th while supplies last.
For more information, visit WSBRadio.com.
U.S. Navy Lieutenant Bradley Allen Foster's story is one of valor and selflessness. Bradley was born and raised in California. Inspired by his father's service, Bradley felt a deep calling to serve his country. He became a pilot in the U.S. Navy. Bradley underwent air and combat training and was later awarded the National Defense Service Medal. Bradley's goal was to be the best pilot and leader he could be, while also being the very best husband and father to his wife Beth and baby girl Audrey. Tragically, Bradley's promising life was cut short by a helicopter crash off the coast of San Diego, California. Tunnel to Towers provided his family with a mortgage-free home in his honor. Bradley's death is a stark reminder that freedom isn't free. It comes at a steep price, sometimes the ultimate price, for heroes who serve our country and our communities. Show your support for heroes like Bradley and their families. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
Hey, it's Mark Aram here with an amazing way to make this a stress-free holiday season. Heat and serve traditional feasts from my friends at Publix. Order now and make your holiday gathering one to remember. Check out the turkey dinner. It includes a fully cooked turkey, old-fashioned cornbread dressing, delicious home-style Yukon Gold mashed potatoes, cranberry orange relish, marshmallow delight, and no Thanksgiving is complete without delicious home-style gravy. Just make sure you order these items in advance. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
If I said to focus your energy, where would you start? Let's say you run a business, a school campus, a hospital, or a government facility. Finding ways to save can be overwhelming, but Georgia Power has energy efficiency tips and rebates to help. Things like improving lighting with LEDs, making HVAC upgrades, adding building controls, and more. Look, you've got a business to run and numbers to hit. Georgia Power can help you focus your energy where it matters most. Learn more at georgiapower.com/biz.
Attention men, are you suffering from ED or PE? Here's an important message from Choice Men's Health.
I'm Dr. Katz and I'm the Chief Medical Director at Choice Men's Health. Are you performing the way you want to in the bedroom? If the answer is no and you've tried Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra and were disappointed, then you need to come see us immediately. If you don't see results on the first visit, then there's no charge. Many of our patients have medical conditions such as diabetes, hypertension, obesity, and prostate problems. I'm happy to say that we have 98% success rate with all our patients. Our customized solutions will allow you to perform within 10 minutes and last an hour and even longer. You can regain your love life and tackle your ED and PE problems. Guys, your partner will never complain again. Our clinic has the most affordable prices, so if you visit other clinics and you're not completely satisfied, then you need to call Choice Men's Health.
Regain your love life regardless of your age or medical history. Choice Men's Health guarantees results on your first visit or you pay nothing. Call now, 404-400-1170. That's 404-400-1170.
Hey, if you served our country or communities, there are massive benefits waiting for you. That's right, current and former military, law enforcement, first responders, teachers. You qualify for a free membership at GovX. That's GOVX. They are the largest online marketplace exclusively for those people that serve. Right now, you'll save up to 40% off the most desirable brands: Ray-Ban, Oakley, Yeti, Stanley, North Face. Save up to 40% off cruises, hotels, theme parks, concerts, even sporting events. If you want to save, you need GovX, and you join 9 million other members who are saving millions of dollars on their favorite brands every month. Go to govx.com, use the promo code Sean, S-E-A-N. You'll get an additional $15 off your first purchase. The sign-up is absolutely free, no membership fee. Go to govx.com, promo code Sean, S-E-A-N, GovX, savings for those who serve.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB.
Get the podcast, live stream, email, and social media links by texting Eric to 33777 now.
Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. I want to take a phone call real quick. Adam's on the line. Adam, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, how's it going, Eric? Glad
Great.
to be on the show. Just one quick question. Can Laken Riley's family sue the state of New York for not detaining Ibarra as an illegal and holding them and detaining and deporting him by protocol? That was my question.
It's a great question, and we're getting a lot of emails from people asking this question, and they can't. And here's why. The 11th Amendment to the Constitution, here's what it says. This is the plain text of the Constitution. The judicial power of the United States shall not be construed to extend to any suit in law or equity commenced against one of the United States by citizens of another state or by citizens or subjects of any foreign state. In other words, citizens of one state are prohibited by the Constitution from suing another state in federal court. Now, so what do you say about when we fly to New York and we sue them there? Well, New York has a similar constitutional provision that you're not allowed to sue a state. You're not even allowed to sue the United States. You're saying, Erickson, well, people do it all the time. Yes, because the federal government and state governments have limited exceptions by which they'll allow themselves to be sued. And generally, it is for personal injury, not due to policy, but due to conduct. So, for example, you're in a wreck with a police car in a police chase. You can sue the state for the crashing into the state patrol. Or the post office is delivering mail and tears up your yard. You can sue the federal government for that. Or someone violates your individual civil rights, they can sue that. But for public policy, and this is hard for some people to want to wrap their minds around because it's a very emotional issue, and I get that. But New York having sanctuary policy is a public policy choice of the state of New York. And you cannot sue a state for its public policy choices, even if those public policy choices cause you injury. That's the 11th Amendment and the state constitutions of the several states. So, no, they can't. And we're getting a lot of questions about the death penalty as well. They didn't seek the death penalty in the Jose Ibarra case, which means it's not an option. It was taken off the table by the prosecution. And that prosecution team has been thrown out of office now by the voters, but too late for this case. Now, I need to tell you about Eden Pure and its Thunderstorm. You can get 3 of them and save $200, and they're the all-new Thunderstorm. If you go to EdenPureDeals.com today and you put in Eric3, you can get 3 Eden Pure Thunderstorms. In fact, EdenPureDeals.com is the website that you go to, if I can type, and you'll see when you load the site, you'll see host keyword, and you put in Eric3, ERICK3, the number 3, click submit. Your savings are loaded into your cart, and you see the all-new Thunderstorm OxyLeaf. It generates not just ozone to wipe out odors, but plasma to wipe out bacteria and viruses up to 99%, 99.9% of contaminants. And it also traps pollen and dust. You can get 3 of them, upstairs, downstairs, your basement, your travel bag, and it's small, packs a wallop, the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. You get 3 of them with the discount code ERIC3 at EdenPureDeals.com. You save $200. You get them for less than $200. EdenPureDeals.com, discount code ERIC3.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2:30, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top local story. An emotional day in Athens as Laken Riley's convicted killer is sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. Prior to sentencing, Riley's mother, Allison Phillips, gives a victim impact statement.
This monster took away our chances to see Laken graduate from nursing school. He took away our ability to meet our future son-in-law. He destroyed our chances of meeting our grandchildren. And he took my best friend.
Earlier, Clark County Judge Patrick Haggard found Jose Ibarra guilty of murdering Laken Riley on February 22nd as she went for a jog on the UGA campus. Ibarra waived his right to a jury trial, leaving the verdict and sentence up to the judge. An emotional Susan Smith asked for parole 30 years after drowning her 2 young sons by rolling her car into a South Carolina lake.
I want to say how very sorry I am.
But the South Carolina Parole Board denies the request. 2 East Point police officers are lucky to be alive after a truck slams into their patrol cars on I-285 at Camp Creek Parkway. Courtney Lund with the Georgia State Patrol says the officers were on scene due to a previous incident.
3 separate East Point Police Department vehicles were parked in the first lane from the concrete median wall while responding to an incident with their emergency lights activated.
The injured officers are now out of the hospital. The truck operator is facing several violations. About 11% of Americans have high cholesterol. A new report issued by the Atlanta-based CDC looks at data from 2021 to 2023. That's not much of a change from the recent years, but the numbers were lower between 2000 and 2014. It is 2:32.
Hey, Belinda here, and I have Barry Petrie, Director of Virtual Imaging. Barry has a very interesting testimonial I want him to share with our listeners. Barry, tell us your story.
Belinda, I'm 55. I'm in good shape. I work out every day and took this job about a year ago. Unfortunately, I started having some symptoms about 3 or 4 months ago, so I decided to scan myself. Learned that I had a very high calcium score, and especially most of that was in my LAD, which you know is the Widowmaker. Long story short, I had my first stent put in about 6 weeks ago at Northside, and I feel great. I did not realize that I had lost a gear, and I've got that gear back. And I would have been one of those people that probably would have dropped dead looking perfectly healthy at 60 if I had not taken this role and did that scan.
Oh, wow. Folks, that story hits home. What are you waiting for? Go to Virtual Imaging and get a complimentary heart scan with few minimum requirements for you and your spouse. Call 770-678-SCAN. That's 770-678-SCAN. Or visit virtualimagingatl.com.
1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS. Cars for Kids accepts all kinds of real estate donations. Turn your challenging or unused property into a brighter future for kids and get a tax deduction for the full appraised value of your property. Visit carsforkids.org or call today. That's Cars for Kids Real Estate.
1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS. Donate your real estate.
Hurry! It's your last chance to donate for 2024.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on this station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com. That's FirstLibertyGA.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
At 2:34, Veronica Harrell is in the traffic center.
And right now, talking about a travel advisory with this crash, 285 eastbound, the outer loop east of 675. You got the 3 left lanes blocked. Delays stretch back before 675 around Moreland Avenue. So use I-20. And then traffic trooper David says, watch out for a crash in the left lane. I-20 westbound, west of Panola Road, exit 71, causing delays. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. A cold front knocking our temperatures down from the 70s today to the upper 30s tomorrow morning.
68 in Loganville, 70 in Fairburn, 69 in Ackworth. More news at 3 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
Smart, fearless, and occasionally funny. You're listening to The Eric Erickson Show.
So I gotta play lawyer with you here for just a little bit. Welcome back. It's Eric Erickson here. I was a criminal legal defender. I didn't want to be. So I should set this up for you. I was a very bad criminal defense attorney. I never wanted to be a criminal defense attorney. But when I was practicing law, the county in which I practiced, you were not allowed to practice law unless for 5 years you served as an indigent criminal defense attorney. I can tell you, I learned a lot about humanity and empathy for people in bad situations by doing it. It was good for my character to do it, even if I didn't want to do it. It really was. But I understand the legal system here in Georgia where I practice law, and I didn't like criminal law. I never wanted to go to court. I actually worked for a district attorney for a while as an intern, and I loved the prosecution side. And I'll never forget when I was a law clerk. So I was applying for law clerk jobs, and at the time, the DA paid $5.25 an hour. And I got offered a clerkship at a law firm, and it was $5.75. And I knew the lawyer of the law firm, very nice man. And I went to him and I said, look, I got to be honest with you. You're 50 cents more an hour than the DA's office. But I think I want that experience. And he kind of pushed back in his chair. He says, wait a second. Our district attorney's paying $525 a week for law clerks? I said, no, $5.25 an hour. And he fell out laughing. And he says, we may not want to hire you if you're that stupid. It's $575 a week versus $5.25 an hour. I wound up going to the law firm. But I did criminal indigent defense for 5 years. And so here's the thing. I'm getting a lot of questions from people nationally, not just in Georgia, about why no death penalty for Jose Ibarra in Georgia. In every state, district attorneys are of the executive branch. And district attorneys are the ones who seek not just to punish, but also how to punish. It is the judges of the judicial branch who hear the evidence, weigh the facts, often with a jury, who then render a verdict and decide on the appropriate punishment based on the verdict. In this case, the district attorney at the time that this case happened, Deborah Gonzalez, was a Soros-backed progressive. And she handed the case over to outside counsel, but the outside counsel is still bound by the policies of the district attorney's office. And that district attorney was so progressive, she would not allow them to pursue the death penalty. It wasn't something that was going to happen in Athens-Clarke County. The judge in the case cannot impose the death penalty unless it's sought and asked for by the prosecution. That's the way the system works. You may not like it, but that's the way the system works. Now, this leads to the next question some people want. Deborah Gonzalez, the hyper-woke progressive district attorney who ran her office into the ground, literally like 17 assistant district attorneys quit the office. She was such a terrible manager. She lost her election to a guy who ran an independent campaign. He collected signatures and campaigned against her, not as a Republican, but as an independent, and he won. Democrats and Republicans came together in Clark County, Georgia, and threw Deborah Gonzalez out of office. Rightfully so. She was a terrible DA. So that raises the next question. Why then, when the incoming DA came in, why didn't he change policies and immediately ask for the death penalty? Two things. One, he's not yet been sworn into office. He's not yet the district attorney. She is. And even if he were, the case had already begun in court. They had already decided not to do a jury trial. So you'd have to redo the entire trial, get a jury and all of that for it to work. It was an impossibility. But the bottom line is he's not the district attorney yet. The woke progressive DA is still the DA. And their policy was no death penalty, so Jose Ibarra will spend the rest of his life in prison. Now, this is a problem. It's one we can't do anything about. If the DA is not going to ask for the death penalty, the judge is not allowed to impose the death penalty. And you can't appeal and ask the Supreme Court of Georgia or the Court of Appeals in Georgia to impose a death penalty, because when you appeal, you don't wind up in a worse predicament. The problem, though, is that Jose Ibarra is a member of that Venezuelan gang. So now he's going to go into state prison in Georgia with ties to a very violent Venezuelan gang and begin to network with the populations of the prison. The state is going to have to be very, very careful about how it proceeds with his prison sentence. But he's going away for the rest of his life with no opportunity for parole in the state of Georgia. And that in and of itself is a good thing, that he's going to be off the streets for the rest of his life. He's not going to get to go back to Venezuela. He's not going to be deported. He's going to be put in prison. He was convicted of felony murder, malice murder, kidnapping with bodily injury, aggravated assault with intent to rape, aggravated battery, hindering a 911 call, and tampering with evidence. He was also found guilty of a peeping Tom charge. He waived his right to a jury. It's a horrible case. By the way, do not blame the special prosecutor for the setup of this case. The special prosecutor prosecuted it because the incompetent district attorney was at least smart enough to pass it off, hoping that by passing it off, she could show herself to be tough and win re-election. It didn't help. But the special prosecutor, her hands were kind of tied as well. It's just a sad case. What's worse is that it was so preventable. That's the thing that just makes me angry about the case and why so many of you are angry. Laken Riley should still be alive. She should be alive because the President of the United States of America should prioritize our national sovereignty by securing our border. And instead, Jose Ibarra came into this country illegally and was allowed in. He went to New York. New York didn't detain him. New York didn't do much anything. He was arrested in New York, let go, and made his way to Georgia, where his brother was. And he murdered Laken Riley. Now, I want you also to know that Athens, Clark County, Georgia, will deny it until they're blue in the face, but Athens, Clark County, Georgia has put in place sanctuary city policies. The local police are willing to tell you all about it. Local mayor and county commission there deny it till they're blue in the face. They've done everything possible to turn Clark County into a sanctuary county. It's a combined city-county government. When they tell you they're not a sanctuary city, you need to understand they're lying to cover themselves. They are. So Jose Ibarra went from one illegal immigrant-friendly place to another and wound up murdering a law-abiding citizen of the United States of America in the state of Georgia, Laken Riley. He should have never been here. And he'll be in jail for the rest of his life. And she's not alone in this. She's not the only victim of an illegal alien in the United States who came here because of the Biden policies. And it's unfair. And to the extent presidents affect you on a daily basis, this is it. Presidents in Congress, they don't really affect you on a regular daily basis. They don't. But things like this do affect you from the federal level. The weakness on border policy, among other things, the terrible weakness on border policy that this administration has put into place. And we've got just over 2 months left before it all goes away. On January 20th, today is November 20th. In 2 months, Donald Trump will take the oath of office and return to the presidency and bring hell with him for illegal aliens who are criminal agents in this country. Yeah, I had an exchange with Jake Tapper this morning. I don't think he'll mind me saying this. I'm sure he won't. Jake and I have a great relationship, known him for a long time. And he and Scott Jennings, I pledged you yesterday the exchange that he and Scott Jennings had about migrant workers in this country. And yes, Jake's right. The data shows in this country the majority of the people who are picking the crops are illegal aliens. In fact, the data suggests strongly that many of the people who come into this country legally on a temporary agriculture worker visa actually are not here legally and have forged documents. That's what the data suggests. But I'll tell you, and the reason he reached out to me is a Twitter thread I put up yesterday about his and Scott Jennings' exchange. I've had a lot of farmers call me call the show and email me. I've had them from Oklahoma. I've had them from Illinois. I've had them from Ohio. I've had them from Florida and Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina. Had a lot of farmers reach out. There's one other state in there. And all of them said to a person that it is a talking point and a data point that the majority of ag workers in the fields in this country are illegal, and they don't believe it. That in their fields and in their farms, they actually use the temporary worker program, and they are vetted. In fact, they have inspectors who come to their farms and inspect to make sure that they're not using illegal aliens. They said certainly in California and places like that they are, because the states don't inspect. And one of the farmers from just outside of Dayton, Ohio, sent me a link to a piece, said the Biden administration last year reduced the number of farm inspections from over 5,000 a year to less than 900 a year. Essentially, the Biden administration wanted hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil as the policy. They did not want to inspect a farm to see if there are illegals working. They wanted the illegals to work. And the Democrats and much of the media are convinced that without the illegal aliens, the farm industry will collapse. And all these farmers who reached out to me from all these states says that is not true at all. It is not true at all. In fact, the flood of illegal immigrants has disincentivized a temporary program in this country, and that temporary program could be revitalized if we got rid of the illegal aliens. It would actually help us, and people would be documented. And, you know, that is the punchline to all of this for me, is how well documented all these people are who the media insists must be called undocumented immigrants instead of illegal immigrants. We know very well how many of them are here and where they're working. At least we claim to. But these farmers, all of them said they totally support mass deportations because, one, they're going to go after the criminals first. Two, then they're going to find the missing children. And then three, they're not coming for the people who pick the crops. And to the extent they are, there's an existing program all these people can apply for and come back. It's not going to be a burden. And yet the media talking point is going to be this massive burden. I'll believe it when I see it. What I see right now is that there is a dead girl in Athens, Georgia, because this administration chose not to secure the border, because they chose to do backdoor in-runs around existing American law, and they didn't respect the American law that we had or the border of the United States. And more than one person has been killed because of those policies, and their blood is on Joe Biden's hands. But he doesn't even know it. He's too mentally incompetent to know. Now, before I get out of here, I need to tell you, if you're a business and you're starting a business and you're looking for a bank, can I recommend my bank, Old Glory Bank? I'm an investor in the bank. I want you to know it. My use of Old Glory Bank as a customer pre-exists them being an advertiser. In fact, I lobbied for them to advertise on my show. They're chartered in Oklahoma, but they're a nationwide bank. They do online checking and savings for individuals and businesses, custodial accounts for your kids. They have great interest rates. They've got a great app. I'm a big believer in Old Glory Bank. They're a bank started by conservatives who saw the banking trends happen around the country, where progressives buy into banks and then start using the leverage of the bank to say to the gun store, we're sorry, we can't do business with you anymore because you sell guns. Or to tell the person who uses their debit card to buy a gun, we're sorry, you can't buy that gun with your debit card. And Old Glory Bank come up and say, you know what, we're going to be conservative, by conservatives, for conservatives. We're going to support the Second Amendment. We're going to support businesses. And even though we're online banking, we're going to do unique services for businesses where we'll be able to help them with loans. We'll send people to them. We'll get to know the business. We'll build a relationship, and they do it. And I've sent multiple businesses to them. I've got accounts with them. I began investing in the bank as well. I believe in them, and you will too. OldGloryBank.com. You can get your entire account set up online today at OldGloryBank.com. OldGloryBank.com. You can get an account for your kids. You can get no-fee checking, no-fee savings. That's what I have. You got great interest rates. You can build a relationship with them, do mortgages. You can do car loans. You can do business loans. OldGloryBank.com. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Terms and conditions apply.
He'll do the research and give it to you straight. Eric Erickson is live every weekday.
251 in the Coolray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. With that crash over in that left lane, I-20 westbound just past Panola Road, exit 71, definitely keeping you on the brakes all the way back to Evans Mill Road. Give yourself a little extra time. This report brought to you by PureTalk.com. Stop overpaying for your cell phone plan. Pure Talk gives you unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month on their 5G network. Dial pound 250 and say keyword switch now to save 50% off your first month. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
It's 3 o'clock. Want another Zoom call?
I know for a fact.
Or Eric Von Hessler.
This is what's going on.
Now you can start listening to the Von Hessler Doctrine at work.
Board eligible to become a certified pundit.
And continue on your drive home.
But not quite a certified pundit yet.
EVH, today.
Now starting at 3.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Hey, it's Ashley Frasca from the traffic team. And when I report traffic every morning, I hear from people that are jammed up. They are bumper to bumper, and there's not enough room to move on the Atlanta roads. You know that. So let me ask you, is the storage at your business like that? Do you feel like you've outgrown your space? Shipping Containers for You has the perfect solution. Shipping Containers for You has 40-foot and 20-foot containers that can be delivered to you within days. Go to shippingcontainersforyou.com. Find the shipping container that you need for your home or business and have it delivered within days.
Skip the hassle and sell your home with the strongest cash offer this fall. The guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate is the easiest way to sell your home. It's Eric Erickson, and with the guaranteed offer, you can skip the uncertainty, sell your home fast for all cash in as little as 21 days. Mark Spain Real Estate's been serving families for nearly 30 years and has helped over 58,000 satisfied clients. Trust the top real estate team in the U.S. to sell your home fast and for maximum profit. Go to markspain.com and find out what your guaranteed offer would be and start packing.
Men, if you're suffering from ED or PE, Priority Men's Medical Center will get your love life back in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough medical treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments will restore your love life regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. Plus, you'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients will have their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. To regain your love life in just one visit, call now. 404-885-8885.
Let's face it, nothing makes you look older than you really are than thinning hair. But what if you could not only increase your hair count, but promote new hair growth without surgery, without drugs with potential side effects, and without a prescription from your doctor? Well, Now you can, thanks to a breakthrough new supplement called Hair Grow, provided by New Nordic, the #1 supplier of dietary supplements in Europe. Hair Grow is now available in the U.S. Only Hair Grow contains Tocogaya, a powerful antioxidant that has received a U.S. patent. Multiple clinical studies show Hair Grow is safe and effective in promoting new hair growth. In one study, 95% of the patients using Hair Grow saw increased hair count. Don't lose more time and more hair. Try Hair Grow today to feel and look your best. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or in stores at your local CVS. Look younger and feel more confident with Hair Grow by New Nordic at NewNordicUSA.com, or in stores at your local CVS.
WSB Atlanta, WSB FM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Your non-stop news source, 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Join Eric's Army of Activists. Text ARMY to 33777 now.
Howdy, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number, well, it is too late for you to call in the show, so, well, never mind. I gotta continue to laugh at the left and how they continue to do things that then set the mood for the Republicans. I say all the time, precedent matters. And the Democrats, after Donald Trump lost in 2020, decided to get rid of the Emergency Powers Act from the 1970s that essentially says a president can declare something an emergency and then use the military and mobilize the entire federal government to fight that emergency. It gives the president extremely broad powers. And after Trump lost in 2020, Democrats led by Congressman McGovern of Massachusetts said, we got to get rid of this law. We got to get rid of this law. What happens if we ever get a Trump again? But then the environmentalists swooped in and said, no, you can't get rid of this law because we got to have Joe Biden declare a climate emergency. Joe Biden needs to declare a climate emergency. So they ignored McGovern. They canceled the law. And they canceled repeal of the law. Now Donald Trump's going to use the law for a border emergency so he can use the military to help round up. Look, you guys are the ones who laid out the thought process of the path and then chose not to get rid of the law. Donald Trump gets to use the law. It's hilarious. By the way, at the end of the show, there is some breaking news. Sarah McBride of Delaware says she will use the men's restroom on Capitol Hill. I will follow the rules as outlined by Speaker Johnson, even if I disagree with them. There are unisex bathrooms on Capitol Hill, but Sarah McBride, who is biologically male, is going to use the men's bathroom, and that's fine. Sarah McBride is a man. She is actually a he, so I'm okay with this. He says this effort to distract from the real issues facing this country hasn't distracted me over the last several days as I've remained hard at work preparing to represent the greatest state of the union come January. Okay, first of all, that's a lie. Delaware is not the greatest state of the union, but nonetheless, God bless him for that. If Sarah McBride lived his life and didn't try to define himself by his transition, which he's done, I doubt anything would come of this. But he actually is the one who made a big deal out of it, not Nancy Mace. And now he will use the men's bathroom, and he is biologically a man, even if he has done a lot of surgery and stuff to make himself look like a woman. This is the perfect solution.
WSB consumer expert Clark Howard.
Okay, got something for you. If you have a prescription drug plan through your place of work, know that for most of your prescriptions, you can now fill them cheaper on your own than through the plan offered through the insurance at your work. You know why? Because the managers of those drug plans are getting kickbacks from the drug manufacturers, And guess who that cost is often passed on to? You and me. So I find that in my case, I go to a warehouse club. I'm able to fill my prescriptions for a much lower price, almost always, not using the insurance plan from work and just paying my own money than filing through that plan. I'm Clark Howard.
News, weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 3 o'clock, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top local story. Lake and